sinister. Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull speaking out days after an Australian woman was shot by police in Minneapolis while standing near her patrol car in her pajamas after calling 911 to report a possible sexual assault she heard outside.
We are seeking answers to this. This is a shocking killing. It's inexplicable.
The partner of the officer who fired the shot says he was startled by a loud sound he heard seconds before the shooting. Both officers are on leave. They did not have their body cameras on. In Cincinnati, a police officer will not be tried a third time in his traffic stop shooting death. Fox News, Farron Bell.
Good morning, 73 degrees in Chicago at 5:02 on AM 560 The Answer. I'm David Stewart from the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Partly sunny today with a possible thunderstorm and a high of 83. Chicago woman is demanding answers after her son died while in custody downstate. Michael Jefferson's mother says her son suffered injuries that show he might have been beaten to death.
I just want to fight, and I want to fight for justice for my son.
Authorities say Jefferson passed away last week after he was found unresponsive in his cell at the Menard Correctional Center. Relief could be coming soon to people affected by flooding in the northern suburbs. The Fox River and chain of lakes crested yesterday. They are slowly receding, but there's some concern about rain expected to fall in the coming days. Cook County Assessor Joseph Berrios is facing scrutiny over the way his office determines property values. Berrios grilled by county commissioners yesterday who expressed concerns that the system favors the wealthy at the expense of the poor. Board President Tony Preckwinkle plans an outside review. Governor Rauner not apologizing for the wholesale changes he's making to his management team in the wake of the override of his budget vetoes. Critics are seeing a turn to the right, but Rauner says he's always looking to improve.
And we will be striving every day to have the best people possible who are committed to the people of Illinois, not committed to politics, not committed to other things, but they put the interest of the people of Illinois first.
Rauner's putting a new team in place as he gears up for a re-election fight next year. In sports, the Chicago White Sox have traded infielder Todd Frazier and pitchers David Robertson and Tommy Kahnle to the Yankees for prospects. On the field, the Dodgers beat the Sox 1-0. Sox host the Dodgers again today. Cubs keep rolling, beating the Braves 5-1. Cubs in Atlanta late this morning. The news service of LifeLock. It's morning. Here's an eye-opener. LifeLock can see more threats to your identity than you can see if you're just monitoring your credit. If something happens, a U.S.-based specialist can work to fix it. So go to LifeLock.com and use the promo code RISK to save 10%. AM 560 News Time, 5:04. Traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
According to the forecast, it's going to be a long, hot summer.
Russian collusion. James Comey.
Obstruction of justice. Impeachment. White House leak. Jeff Sessions. Climate change. Islamic terrorism. Vladimir Putin.
Join AM 560's Joe Walsh for a very special event on Tuesday, August 22nd. It's the Summer of Trump, live at the Bolingbrook Golf Club, hosted by Joe Walsh and featuring Hugh Hewitt and Guy Benson. Tickets are available now at 560theanswer.com/summer. That's 560theanswer.com/summer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
For 5 years, I was with this other company, and I tried everything, and it was costing me a fortune. And on top of that, it wasn't working. And I said, ever since I've taken this product, I have kissed that goodbye. Matter of fact, I said, this has been the first winter that I have gone through without a flu or nothing.
Last year I started on the Balance of Nature. I'm telling you, it really built me up, and it really helped me.
My cholesterol went down. Only after taking it 1 month, I went down 20 points.
I feel better already with it.
I just feel it's made my life more predictable, more useful.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. The storm season is here. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for sudden damage and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000. That's 630-834-6000 or charlesequipment.com. charlesequipment.com.
At 5:07 from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Al Verdi.
Thanks, Mike. We've got closures because of flooding in Des Plaines Central shut down between East River Road and Des Plaines River Road. Gurnee, Delaney is closed between Skokie and Old Grand. Also in Gurnee, Gages Lake Road shut down from Hunt Club to before Milwaukee Avenue. And the Tri-State westbound at 132 Grand Avenue, the on-ramp is closed for construction. Traffic's a service of CiCi's. Now at CiCi's, bring the party home this summer with 3 medium one-topping pizzas to go for just $4 each, only at CiCi's at participating locations for a limited time. Purchase minimum of 3 pizzas. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Al Verdi on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer next, but now the forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. And here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
High levels of ozone will lead to poor air quality today. We'll see intervals of clouds and sunshine with a shower or thunderstorm around. A bit more humid with a high 83. Shower or heavy thunderstorm in the area tonight, low 70. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
75 now at the lakefront, 72 degrees at Midway and O'Hare. Next, News 530. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy, the master of the changing of the face, John Cash, Chicago Tribune columnist.
Because I look like a tall, willowy blonde.
Well, because
when I'm doing my Arya Stark thing.
When you're ready.
Right.
And which
ready
you are, now
right?
that you're ready, and now that winter is here.
With you, sir, yes.
If you don't like Game of Thrones, you're not going to enjoy this show very much. I can just tell you that. So, John, yesterday, the whole thing came apart. It was coming apart. What's today? Wednesday. On Monday, when it became clear that McConnell wasn't going to have the necessary Republican votes, as you had 2 more defectors, Moran from Kansas and Mike Lee from Utah. And then, as predicted on this show, just the straight repeal that was going to be McConnell's fallback position. Straight repeal with a 2-year window to get a replace. Well, that's dead too, because you've got 2 additional U.S. senators who voted for repeal just a short time ago. Lisa Murkowski from Alaska and Shelley Moore Capito of West Virginia, who will not vote for straight repeal again.
Why? If it was good enough when Obama was in office, why won't they vote for it now?
It seems like we're in a bit of a parallel universe, at least with Republican parties in Illinois, because you've got 15 surrender Republicans, 16 if you include the one in the Senate.
Quislings.
16 Quislings who...
You know how you're supposed to say that with that Dan Proft, narrowed eye thing.
Right, yes.
You say Quislings.
Oh, we're kind of did that. Yes, like Longshanks talked about the Irish. Yeah, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Before he throws the lover out the window.
So, I mean, here you've got Madigan Republicans supporting tax increases and no spending reform. And on the Hill, you've got Obamacare Republicans who campaign as fiscal conservatives. Wall Street Journal notes in their editorial today, the Obamacare Republicans ran on fiscal discipline, but they rejected the best chance for entitlement reform in a generation. They campaigned against deficits, some like Moran from Kansas, Heller from Nevada have endorsed a balanced budget amendment, yet they dismissed a $1.022 trillion spending cut. They denounced Obamacare's $701 billion in tax increases, but then panicked over repealing tax cuts for the rich, quote unquote. So you've got Madigan Republicans here and Obamacare Republicans in D.C., and where can we go to hide from both of them?
I don't know. The problem is, once you give the people something in terms of entitlements, it's very difficult to take it away. And that was the brilliance of the Obamacare in the beginning. As you recall, there was a man named Gruber, Jonathan Gruber.
McGruber, yeah.
Remember him?
Oh, McGruber.
What did he say? Something like, the American people are too stupid to understand what we're doing.
Well, if we're not honest about it, right?
Right.
If we package it in sunshine and happy
Free
days,
stuff.
right? Then
Big Rock Candy Mountain economics.
Well, and so the posture of President Trump in the wake of these developments, as explained by said President Trump yesterday, is this.
You can see that. You see that better than anybody sees it, the soldiers that are with us today. We've had a lot of victories, but we haven't had a victory in health care. We're disappointed. I am very disappointed because, again, even as a civilian, for 7 years I've been hearing about health care. And I've been hearing about repeal and replace. And Obamacare is a total disaster. Some states had over a 200% increase, a 200% increase in their premiums. And their deductibles are through the roof. It's an absolute disaster. And I think you'll also agree that I've been saying for a long time, let Obamacare fail, and then everybody's going to have to come together and fix it. And come up with a new plan, and a plan that's really good for the people with much lower premiums, much lower costs, and much better protection. I've been saying that, Mike, I think you'll agree, for a long time. Let Obamacare fail. It'll be a lot easier. And I think we're probably in that position where we'll just let Obamacare fail. We're not going to own it. I'm not going to own it. I can tell you the Republicans are not going to own it. We'll let Obamacare fail, and then the Democrats are going to come to us, and they're going to say, how do we fix it? How do we fix it? Or how do we come up with a new plan?
Well, so what about that? Going back to the let it fail, and I'm not going to own it, and then the Democrats will come crawling to him.
He didn't say it. He said, we're not going to let it fail. We're going to fix it because the American people expect their health care to work, and that's what he's going to do. We're not going to do what would be politically smart, he said repeatedly, which would be to let it fail.
Right.
He didn't. He said, no, we're going to fix it. And guess what? He did.
Well, but
if you're going to if we apply the Rauner standard, where Rauner was rightly criticized, Governor Rauner, for maybe not moving as hard as he could on the tax issue here, can you apply that to President Trump now by not pushing Obamacare repeal and replace hard enough with his people?
Well, part of it will be, are there accountability mechanisms within the party that exist under President Trump? So he has made overtures to the idea that he will go after Republicans who were barriers to Obamacare replace. So, for example, you've got Jeff Flake in Arizona who's up this time. Will President Trump actually support primary opponents against incumbent Republican senators? In conjunction, by the way, with groups that exist at the national level, like we have groups here in Illinois. I've run one of them, like Senate Conservatives Fund, run by Cuccinelli, right? Is it Cuccinelli that runs it? I think so. But anyway, Senate Conservatives Fund that will support conservative challengers to incumbent Republican senators as needed when you have Republican senators do the bidding of the other side. Will President Trump really fall in to oppose incumbent Republican senators when both the House and the Senate, if these failures continue, are even the Senate very much could be in play in November of 2018? Will he do that? I think, though, Trump supporters are not going to see this as a Trump failure. They're going to see this as a Capitol Hill failure. He's ready to sign almost whatever comes to his desk.
Oh my God, you would have signed it no matter what it looked like.
So whose fault is this?
Well, in part, if you're willing to sign anything, I'm just applying the Dan Proftian standards here. If you're willing to sign anything, then what do you stand for?
Well, anything that would come out of House and Senate Republicans, collective wisdom, such as it is. I mean, you've got one model in terms of what came out of the House. You have another model in terms of what was proposed in the Senate, and you're still a couple of votes short right now. Do you continue to apply pressure and try and resuscitate it? Do you make some tweaks to try and assuage the concerns that the Susan Collins, I mean, I don't know if you can get Susan Collins, but some of the others.
At least she's consistent. She's been opposed.
Yes.
She did not vote for repeal.
2 years ago, right.
The others, like that idiot Heller who's got Hugh Hewitt breathing down his neck now.
Well.
And others, yeah, it's a different story.
Well, so that's the question. I mean, Mike Lee, can you bring him back into the fold? It would seem that he would be gettable. Rand Paul, can you figure out a way to get him in the fold?
Ron Johnson?
Possibly. Ron Johnson's in the fold.
Is he?
Yeah, Ron Johnson's in the fold.
He voted for it?
He would. He's on board with the replace.
Mm-hmm.
Dean Heller, as you mentioned, in Nevada. The question is, though, in terms of the public's mind, I think you have congressional Republicans that are much more in the crucible on this issue than President Trump. Robert in Northbrook, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Morning.
Mm-hmm.
It's suicide for the Republicans if they just let it fail. Because, unfortunately, when you become president, you take on all the crap from the previous administration.
Right.
That's just the way it works. And they've had 7 years. We elected all these guys in the office to do their job. Yet, this year and last year, they take off 3 months out of the year, run around, woohoo, nothing's wrong. Yeah, it's a debacle. It's a mess. But if they let it fail, please.
All right. Thanks for the call, Robert. Tom in Schaumburg.
Start the primary process. See if you can get Palin to run in Alaska. Murkowski is vulnerable. She lost her last primary. One is an independent, as I recall, with a lot of union money behind her, and she's been a Democrat ever since she got in. So start the primary process. See if we can get somebody in Alaska to run against Murkowski and at least get her out of there and make the others think that they're going to get primary too, and maybe we'll get these people in line.
Thanks for the call, Tom.
They're angry.
Yeah, and Matt Schlapp, the chairman of the American Conservative Union, he had this to say about those Republicans Tom from Schaumburg is speaking of.
I think this is an epic lie on some Republicans' behalf. They went around this country for 7 years saying that they wanted to repeal Obamacare. Replace was added in because of the politics of reality, where when you're talking about health care, you're talking about people's lives. And I think it's fair for people to say, I got to know how to plan for my health burden because it comes down to my kids' life, my family's lives.
Yeah, big lie. Big lie from big government Republicans.
Well, the worst part about it isn't really the health care bill. It's the taxes that are in the health care bill. And without repealing Obamacare, can you go forward on a real good tax reform package?
Well, there's a logic to what they tried to do with Obamacare replace first and tax reform second, but they're not inexorably linked. You can do corporate and even personal income tax relief and still have this monstrosity of Obamacare that you're, that besets the nation. So that's not going to be a good enough cover story for failure to enact tax reform, which, oh, by the way, has also been advertised as something that will get done this year by House Ways and Means Chairman Kevin Brady, by Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. So failure there, and the failures start to pile up.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Well, the weather today, it's going to be partly sunny with a high at near 80. Showers and thunderstorms likely overnight. A low around 71. And Thursday, partly sunny with a high near 86. Now traffic with Al Verdi.
Thanks, John. Dan, we've got closures because of flooding in Des Plaines. Central shut down between East River Road and Des Plaines River Road. Gurnee, a couple of closures. Delaney is closed from Skokie Highway to Grand, and Gages Lake closed between Hunt Club and Milwaukee Avenue. On the Tri-State westbound, the on-ramp is closed at 132, and that's for construction. Fox Lake, Route 132 between Rollins and Hickory, that's closed for flooding. And in Des Plaines, Golf is closed between Des Plaines River Road and East River Road for flooding there as well. We got no delays to report on the Edens. On the Kennedy, it's wide open, 20 in or out from downtown to O'Hare. Eisenhower still in good shape. Stevenson inbound slows just a little from State to Lakeshore Drive, 36 in from 355. No outbound delays. Dan Ryan in from 18th to the Burns Circle. A little bit of a slowdown there. 57 in is tight from Halstead to the Ryan. I'm Al Verdi in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
All right, I know you're bombarded with MyPillow ads everywhere you turn, not only from me, but on TV, billboards, and in print. But the reason is simple. It's the best pillow available. You deserve a restful and relaxing summer. And the July radio deal using my name, Amy, in the promo code is the best deal available. It's the 50% discount on a MyPillow 4-pack, including 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows for half the price. You can move the fill to give you the exact support you need regardless of sleep position. You'll sleep deep and won't wake up to a stiff neck or headache. And our good friend Mike Lindell manufactures them in America using only American labor. You can wash and dry them. They're hypoallergenic, and you get a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. So get your 50% off the 4-pack by calling 800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy or visit MyPillow.com. That's 800-489-0201, promo code Amy.
Message and data rates may apply.
Attention, it is illegal to text and drive. So if you're experiencing hair loss and you want a permanent solution, please pull over now, because an incredible offer that could give you your hair back is just one text away. Bosley is the world's most experienced hair restoration expert, always pioneering the latest technology. And now, we're giving everyone who texts the word GROW to 543-543 an absolutely free information kit that reveals just how easy and affordable this permanent solution really is. Don't wait. When you text GROW to 543-543, we'll also give you a gift certificate for $250 off. Millions of men and women have come to Bosley for a permanent solution to hair loss. So pull over now and see for yourself how great your hair could look with an absolutely free information kit. Text GROW to 543-543. Plus, get a free gift certificate. This amazing offer is just one text away. GROW to 543-543.
Did you know that if you have mutual funds in your IRA, 401k, or investment accounts, that according to Forbes magazine, you could be paying as much as 3.17% in hidden fees every single year? 3.17% may not sound like much, but over 10 years, it's costing you 32%, whether your fund is up or down. Hi, it's Tom Fortino of the Alpha Wealth Group in Chicago and host of the Alpha Wealth Hour on AM 560. This is just one of the reasons I hate mutual funds, and you should too. You may not know this, but you have far more investment options today without the excessive fees. Learn what they are in my free report, The Truth Behind Mutual Funds. What you learn may shock you. To get your free report, The Truth Behind Mutual Funds, call 630-519-4742. There's no obligation. That's 630-519-4742.
Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Wealth Advisors, Inc.
AM 560.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and Chicago Tribune columnist John Cass in for Amy. And, John, what about this, too? That this is a very interesting op-ed from Jason Riley in the Wall Street Journal today. And he suggests that these congressional Republicans may be on a clock to make progress, garner accomplishments in the areas of healthcare reform, health insurance reform, as well as tax reform and the like. Trump, not so much on a clock, because the reasons Trump support is quite sticky among Trump voters is because they're more interested in having someone in the White House who gets them, understands their concerns and fears, than they are necessarily in Trump piling up policy victories. Yes, they want those policy victories. Yes, they're engaged on these issues. But the thing they like about Trump is that he gets them and that he is taking down, in many cases, those who don't.
Jason, I really like his stuff, but here's the deal. He's not up at 5 a.m. with a toolbox going to work. Okay?
Right.
And a lot of the guys who listen to this show are guys who are on the road going to work right now. And what they deal with is not rhetoric or sophistry, but results. And what they want are results. It's real simple. I elected you to do A, B, and C. Now do A, B, and C. If you don't do it, that's the question, because those are the guys and those families that provided the victory for Trump in some of the key Midwestern Rust Belt states. You have to be able to deliver.
But they're not. But I guess the question would be, it seems like they're going to leave Trump only as a last resort after ascribing blame, rightly so, arguably, right, to congressional Republicans. They're not looking to fall in with congressional Republicans. They're certainly not looking to fall in with the left that abandoned them,
of course,
decades ago.
Who are they going to have a beer with?
Right.
Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan or Donald Trump? They'd rather have a beer with Trump.
Bruno in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, so, Trump is going on this 3-week Made in America tour, and he needs to do a lot more of that, but he needs to do it with a twist. He needs to be making his speeches and appearances in the districts and the states where we've got these recalcitrant GOP senators and congressmen, and he needs to be doing it with a selected person standing by his side, and at every one of these speeches, he needs to say, and I'd like to say I'm here with my good friend Joe, so-and-so, and I think he would make a great senator from the great state of whatever, or a great congressman from the 7th Congressional District, and he needs to pound that home day in, day out, and give these challengers gravitas.
Thanks for the call, Bruno. I mean, certainly
that would blow it up, though, right away.
Probably, and also, that's a mixed bag. When you're talking about statewide level, like U.S. senators, there are some states where, yes, Trump could provide a tailwind for candidates, and then the other states where he's quite the headwind. Ed in Oak Brook, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
You know what? I don't even know if Trump can do this or not, but you know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see Trump move all federal employees, like the senators, the congressmen, and all their aides and whatever else they have there, put them into Obamacare. Now they got a little skin into the game. Let them feel what the average person is feeling out on the street. They're not feeling anything. Those guys are so removed from the day-to-day life that I'm going through that John just mentioned a few minutes ago, getting up at 3 in the morning, getting ready for work, doing prep. And it's just awful when I hear this. But dump all the federal employees in there, and I don't know if they're self-insured or not, but those premium dollars can shore up that Obamacare. Let those guys deal with the lousy health care that most people are getting. Have a nice day.
Thanks for the call, Ed. Yeah, it would be interesting, right, if John McCain had gotten his health coverage off one of the exchanges, and how that would have worked out for his preferred surgeon of choice, for example, with respect to the blood clot that he's recovering from.
Where is he at? The chief surgeon of the United States Navy, or somebody? Right?
Yeah, the two sets of rules and opportunities, one for the political class and the other for everyone else.
That thing where you set up two different sets of rules, we have this, now you have that plan, it's so Chicago, it makes me sick. I mean, it really crossed my...
Well, speaking of making you sick, Denny Hastert is out of federal prison. We'll address his early release.
Yes.
We'll address his early release at 5:38, but now we check the headlines with Dave Stewart.
Good morning. It's 72 degrees in Chicago at 5:31 on AM 560 The Answer. From the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom, Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Partly sunny today, a possible thunderstorm. Look for a high of 83. The White House confirms that President Trump did have a second meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin during the G20 summit. Ian Bremmer, president of the consulting firm Eurasia Group, first brought the meeting to light.
Did they talk about sanctions? Did they talk about the hacks? Did he push them? Did they not? Ukraine, all of that? Well, I mean, none of that really matters if they then had an hour one-on-one at the dinner with only the Russian translator. We have no idea what was in that conversation.
The previously undisclosed meeting happened during the dinner of world leaders at the end of the summit this month in Hamburg, Germany. The Senate will take a procedural vote next week on whether to repeal Obamacare. Republicans appear to be short of the votes needed to pass that proposal. Here in Chicago, an investigation is underway after an elderly man was shot and killed on the south side. Police say the 69-year-old victim gunned down last night while walking in the 7100 block of South State Street. He may have been killed by a stray bullet. Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart's begun layoffs tied to the stalling of the sweetened drink tax. He's suspending a current class of deputy recruits, one class that was soon to start. He's furloughing some court bailiffs and cutting some unfilled positions, a total of 110 jobs in all. And a priest from back of the yards is asking to be released from his priesthood as part of the settlement of a sexual abuse case. Father Bruce Wellams, formerly of the Holy Cross Immaculate Heart of Mary Church, admits that when he was 15, he abused a boy who was 7 at the time. In sports, the White Sox trade infielder Todd Frazier and pitchers David Robertson and Tommy Kahnle to the Yankees for prospects. On the field, Dodgers beat the Sox 1-0. Cubs keep rolling, beating the Braves 5-1. The news service of Dove Men Plus Care. Did you hear that 91% of guys that use Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant recommend it? Dove Men Plus Care user Daniel said that his armpits aren't the worst thing at the gym anymore. Make the locker room a better place. Pick up some new Dove Men Plus Care for your gym bag at your local retailer. AM 560 News Time, 5:33. Traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Mike Gallagher says work is getting done in Washington, despite what you see from the mainstream media.
An awful lot continues to get done in this Trump White House, day in and day out. Bills are being signed. Legislation is being tackled. Yes, health care is going to be tricky. It's going to be tough. But if anybody can do it, it's this guy. You know it, and I know it.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Right now with Galaxy. Buy one cabinet, get one free. Visit us online at GalaxyHome.com to schedule your free in-home estimate. Save an additional $500 when you book right now.
You love your pet, and they love you. They trust you to care and watch over them. So when they get sick, take the pet out of Petrified and bring them to Merrick Animal Hospital. Merrick is the place of the fear-free vet visit. Dr. Hosek and his staff strive to make your pet's exam as stress-free as possible. They use calming pheromones, tasty treats, and sedation as needed. And for the feline owner, they have a cats-only exam room. Merrick Animal Hospital is on Ogden Avenue in Brookfield, 1 mile east of LaGrange Road, serving the community for over 80 years. Don't miss your chance to meet the doctors, staff, local pet businesses, and veterinary product companies at a block party, Saturday, July 22nd from 1 to 5. There's free food, raffles, bounce house, and face painting for the kids. Well-behaved pets are welcome. For a limited time, new clients get your first exam free, a $49 value. Call 708-485-6500, 708-485-6500, or visit brookfieldvets.com. That's brookfieldvets.com.
Being a small business owner, you wear many different hats. You're the innovator, the marketing director, the CFO. But when it comes to legal issues, do you have the degree necessary to defend your business? Having an attorney on retainer doesn't have to be as expensive as you think. Gone are the days of paying $10,000 a month for help. Legal Shield is there to deliver personalized legal counsel without the outrageous prices of traditional attorneys. Business plans include unlimited advice, contract review, trial hours, and collection letters. No longer will precious hours and resources be wasted. Find an attorney you can trust with your livelihood. Call your Legal Shield associate today. If you're new to Legal Shield, call your independent associate Karen at 224-622-8842. That's 224-662-8842. Legal Shield. Worry less, live more.
At 5:36 from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Al Verdi.
Thanks, Dave. On the Edens, we still have no delays at all, just 19 either way from Lake Cook to the Kennedy Junction. Kennedy in or out, only 20 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. Eisenhower inbound, that's 31 from Thorndale to the post office. Little slowdown between Mannheim and 17th, outbound in good shape. Inbound, Stevenson taps the brakes from Harlem to Pulaski, and again from State Street to Lakeshore Drive. It's 40 in from 355. Outbound looks good, and on the Dan Ryan, express lanes inbound slow from 31st. The locals in from the Stevenson. Traffic's a service of CC's. Now at CC's, party with the new stuffed crust trio. Bacon stuffed crust and new grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza. Join the original with pepperoni. The stuffed crust party's on the unlimited buffet for just $5 and change. CC's prices may vary for a limited time only. Traffic answers when you need the most. I'm Al Verity on AM 560, The Answer.
And now your forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Today, partly sunny, maybe a thunderstorm, a high of 83. Cloudy and humid tonight with a heavy thunderstorm late, a low of 70. Clouds tomorrow with strong storms, some of them with flash flooding, and a high of 89. Right now, 72 at O'Hare. Next news, 6 o'clock. Continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Now, more of Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and John on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Power Trading Radio. Heard Sundays at 2 p.m. Brought to you each week by Online Trading Academy.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Morning, Dan. And in framing this morning, the famed Chicago Tribune columnist, the heir to Mike Royko's space, John Cass. John, pleasure as always. You got to turn your mic on.
Hey, Danny. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Wake up, go to work, listen to us.
Yeah.
Let's get going.
We're talking about the surrender Obamacare Republicans in the Senate. I got a couple more calls on this, so let's take them, shall we? Anne or Annie? Annie on the north side.
Oh, thanks for taking my call, both John and you. Yes, I was wondering, since a lot of the senators and congressmen are Catholic, are they voting according to religion or what's good for the country? Because Cardinal Supovich is talking gun control. I can't see why he's talking about gun control instead of confession. We have a constitution to bear arms. So this might be the problem. I don't know. Maybe they're talking about Catholic, what's good for poor people, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes. Thank you, Annie, for the call.
I haven't heard Annie for a while.
Yeah. She's always provocative. The idea that, you know what the problem is in Illinois and D.C., the people in office are too faithful to Catholicism, and they're letting their rigid Catholicism inform their voting. Do you think that's what's happening?
Well, yeah, particularly on right to life issues. You can see that.
Good
Chicago Democrats.
Good Catholics like Madigan and Cullerton, who promote pro-life legislation because of their fealty to Catholicism.
I haven't seen any. I thought it was more the other way around, where it's, hey, if you live anywhere within the 10-state area, come over to Illinois to have your pregnancy.
Abortion tourism. It's one of our staples. But they're
I wouldn't say that, but you did.
They're defense of marriage. They're defensive of marriage. Madigan and Cullerton, their storied defense of marriage.
They're rather
against
orthodox in their views, right?
Yeah. Yes. Shall I go on to talk about how much religion influences these ersatz Catholics in office? Dick Durbin, very religious man.
He was very religious when he was a congressman. Do you remember?
He was pro-life as a Central Illinois congressman, yeah.
And then when he wanted to expand, and this is, I think, before he got married, and was it before his wife became a lobbyist and all that? Right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Good Catholic. Dick Durbin. Nancy Pelosi. She's too Catholic. That's the problem.
That's how.
Oh gosh. Now, Annie does have a point about social justice Catholics like Cardinal Supich, who is an embarrassment, and should stop talking about things he knows nothing about, like global climate change,
City Club the other
like labor economics, like gun control. Maybe you should talk about the archdiocese. Maybe you should talk about the schools
I can't say as a Greek Orthodox because we have our own issues, but can I say this?
Yeah.
I think every high-ranking churchman who people, have who get their hands kissed regularly by the faithful should read the Publican and the Pharisee every day, and that's about it.
Okay.
That's all I got to say about
Okay,
that.
well, that's fair. And by the way, since there's tax credit legislation or tax credit concept that's pending as part of the school funding debate that's happening right now, maybe Supich should be focused on trying to improve the opportunities for children and, by extension, archdiocesan schools, and be talking about that and getting all those good Catholics and others of a faithful nature who believe in
like vouchers.
Well, right, who believe in scholarships for poor children to go to the school of their choice, denominational or not. Maybe he should be spending his time talking about that. Maybe, just maybe. But that's me. Mark in Dyer, Indiana.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey, good.
Hey, Mark. Hey, how far is Dyer from Whiting? I got a taste for pierogies. Is the pierogi festival soon?
Pierogies, huh?
Yeah.
About 20 minutes.
All right, good. Can you pick me up a couple next time? Pick me a couple dozen. All right, good.
All right, now since you're willing to do that, you get to talk.
Oh, great.
Thanks.
Yeah, I just wanted to call in. You're talking about Obamacare. I have a machine shop in Mount Greenwood. Started by my grandfather, then my father, and myself now. Our health care for two guys is $40,000. Doesn't that seem to be kind of ridiculous? It's not exactly gold standard health care. But when the Obamacare kicked in, I had one guy that was grandfathered into insurance, and then I had the other guy that once he had to go into Obamacare, I had to look at these policies and try to get him something comparable to what he used to have. And it was insane. He has a high deductible. His doctor choice is incredibly limited. I'm paying through the nose. We're a small company, and the Obamacare hits us square in the jaw. I also got a huge issue with Tiny Dancer and his tax policy. No matter what they spend, it's on us to pay for it. And it seems like he has a vendetta against small business. Because if you're out there and you're busting your ass and you're trying to make your 2 or 3% profit, which is a good year for us, they figure out a way to take that from you. Our property taxes have skyrocketed. We get EPA inspections, which we never used to get. It's never ending. It's absolutely never ending. We make a product for one specific thing. It's our product. We don't compete with any U.S. companies because it's too expensive to make. We got Chinese companies making knockoffs and probably being sold by American companies. That's something that is a dirty, rotten shame.
Yeah.
I don't know why we cannot compete with, one, inferior steel, two, incredibly low rates being paid for their labor, and three, I'd like to know how the hell they ship their product to our country without paying massive tariffs when I couldn't even ship my product to their country, which, by the way, we won't ship out of the United States. I can't even ship it to them for what they sell theirs here.
Can you do me a favor? Can you contact me at work at the Tribune? I grew up in a family business. I think that most politicians that didn't, and definitely most journalists ever did, where their dads had to make a payroll and make tough choices, and they had liked the people that worked for them because they were part of their family, basically, even if they weren't related. I want you to reach me. Reach me at the Tribune.
We're at this point, we're basically a tiny company.
I know.
We make a product that's universally known in the industry. It's on TV quite a bit. We're fortunate. We have great name recognition, but we're just trying to hang on.
All right.
I promised my dad that we were going to try to make 100 years. And from my grandfather literally putting it together in his basement in 1921 till us being in the same building since 1931, I got 4 more years to go to make 100 years. And that's whether we make money or not. That's what I want to get to. That's the American dream. It's not all this hand me everything. I want everything. You work your ass off for it. Whatever happened to that?
You reach me at the Chicago Tribune. My email is jscass@chicagotribune.com, and it's on the bottom of every column for everybody listening. on the bottom of every column. So reach me there, okay? And we'll talk.
Yeah, we'll do.
Thanks for the call, Mark, and giving your perspective. We appreciate it. Do we still have Mickey from do we have Mickey on the line? Let's go to Mickey.
Good morning, gentlemen. God, those are tough calls to follow.
No kidding.
Goodness, but
Tough
I
out
voted for
there.
Trump. It wasn't like I didn't vote for the other guy. I voted for Trump, not against Hillary. He is wrong when he says the Republicans don't have fingerprints on this Obamacare imploding, because the Democrats punted the hot potato back to the 3 or 4 Me Too Democrats, who we're all too familiar with here in Illinois, Me Too Democrat Republicans. And so it is the Republicans' fault, because they could have repealed it, and they failed to. So voters like me are now independent. We're going to look at that, and I've been advocating a third party ever since Republicans got soft on immigration. And if you think I'm ever going to vote for a Republican again, unless he's a Trump, and Trump is like a de facto third party guy to me. Because if it weren't Trump, I was Bernie Sanders. I'm like, okay, if we're going to go socialism, let's just go ahead and get there. Pay me to sit in my sister's backyard, $1,200 a month just to drink beer and eat French fries, and let's just get there.
Yeah.
I'm tired of this crony socialism. Neoliberalism is a good term that was defined on Salon.com, and that's what corporate America is. Instead of this plutocracy of corporate capitalism, they do they be friendly to the leftist organizations so that, Buffett and Gates and all these other uber trillionaires probably get left alone. And so I know I kind of shot to all fields there, but Trump is wrong when he says that the Democrats are going to own the implosion.
Thanks for the call, Mickey. Appreciate that. And I'll tell you what, I mean, Mickey's call and Mark's call, the machine shop owner in Mount Greenwood, I mean, it speaks to something that I don't think people have a full appreciation for. I know many Republicans in this state don't. The exasperation, the idea, how can a Trump voter then be a Bernie Sanders voter? That means they're socialists. No, it doesn't. It's like Mickey says, look, if you're going to do this kind of slow walking of socialism while you're preaching capitalism and just run a scam on me.
So you make the money.
Right. Then the hell with you.
Sit in the backyard.
Then essentially it's almost a libertarian position. Then the hell with you. Let's just go galt and get it over with. Rather than dying the death of 1,000 cuts.
Pass the bong, Danny. We're just sitting in the back of the yard listening to Zeppelin.
Yeah.
And not caring about anything.
I appreciate the calls from Mark and Mickey. They're very, very instructive.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Check out the weather. It's July, and it's hot. Partly sunny, high of 80, shower and thunderstorms. How you doing, Alverdi? How's traffic?
Hey, John. Hey, Dan. Traffic's not too bad right now. I first want to tell you about a few closures because of flooding. Central and Des Plaines, that shut down from East River Road to Des Plaines River Road. A couple closures in Gurnee. Delaney shut from Skokie to Old Grand. Gages Lake Road closed from Hunt Club to before Milwaukee. On the Tri-State westbound up at 132 Grand Avenue there, the on-ramp is closed for construction. And also in Gurnee, Grand is closed between 41 and Milwaukee Avenue. On the Edens, no delays to report. Kennedy inbound slows a little bit from the O'Hare extension to Cumberland, from Foster to Central. 21 in, O'Hare to downtown, no outbound delays. Eisenhower in is 36 from Thorndale to the post office, outbound is fine. Stevenson in is 42 minutes from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. I'm Al Verdi in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with an SPF of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Dan and John, quickly, let's also get one more caller in. John in Portage Park here on Chicago's Morning.
Hey, good morning, you guys. How are you?
Morning.
I think our big problem is the us as Republicans. We never really voice our disapproval over Congress. You get a handful of Democrats per man about one issue,
and they pour out in droves, protest, yell, scream. You step on a Republican's toe, and they go in a corner and cry. Half of the problem is us as voters. Maybe we need to have a huge rally somewhere, tie up traffic, yell and scream, and maybe our voices will finally be heard.
Thanks for the call, John. Well, that's what the Tea Party was, right? And it gave us the move to repeal Obamacare. And now, 7 years later, it has not given us the end of Obamacare. So perhaps that does need to be resuscitated, that movement. Thanks for the call, John. And speaking of activism, we do some activism on our digital platform, upstream-ideas.com, premium content that complements what we do on this show. Long-form interviews with policymakers and opinion leaders, like this week with Dan Patlak, Cook County Board of Review Commissioner, on property taxation in Cook County and the Collars and, frankly, the state of Illinois, as well as a podcast for Illinois Rising program covering state of Illinois policy and politics. Man on the Street, Follow the Logic segments, 2-minute warnings from Pat Hughes of Illinois Opportunity Project, my 60 Seconds of Sanity commentaries. It's all at upstream-ideas.com.
Do you crave work that matters? 20 years ago, Bob Buford's book, Halftime, took business leaders from success to significance in their work. That book started a movement and the Halftime Institute. Now, from Institute CEO Dean Nawalny comes the next new powerhouse book, Trade Up. Building on Bob's legacy, Trade Up shows marketplace leaders how to not just make money, but make a difference. If the word smoldering discontent describe you, then trade up. Go to halftime.org. That's halftime.org.
My name is David Hochberg, Vice President Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to secure financing on a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. If you're purchasing a home within the next year, this is very important. Your credit score is the most important factor in determining your interest rate and monthly payments. I strongly advise listeners purchasing a home to contact me as far in advance as possible so I can pre-qualify you for free. I will analyze your credit and make recommendations to improve your credit scores so you can secure the lowest rate when purchasing a home. Paying banks and other lenders a fee to get pre-qualified is ridiculous. If you're purchasing a home, give me a call now at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com and get pre-qualified for free. I've helped thousands of AM560 listeners, but I can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee, 4358, and MLS 19186.
It's time for a little R&R, courtesy of ChicagoRadioDeals.com. 2 words, Door County. My parents love Door County. Take a few days off and escape to Wisconsin. Head up to the White Lace Inn, a gorgeous bed and breakfast in Sturgeon Bay. The White Lace Inn features 18 inviting guest rooms and suites and 4 elegant turn-of-the-century neighboring homes. Enjoy the gardens, gazebos, and the glory that is Door County. There's a $300 gift certificate for only $150. It can be applied to overnight stays or items in their store. For another fabulous getaway adventure, purchase an overnight stay package for the Schuster Mansion Bed and Breakfast in Milwaukee. Spend the night in Molly's Room, their 2-room luxury suite with a private bath and premier concierge service. It includes breakfast in the Victorian dining room and fresh chocolate chip cookies. Yours for only $85 per couple, valued at $169 a night. Check out all the deals on ChicagoRadioDeals.com and get out of town.
As a parent, I have no problem making the investment of sending my daughter to a Catholic high school in the Diocese of Joliet because of the unparalleled achievement of its students. On average, students who attend one of the 7 Catholic high schools in the diocese have an ACT score of 24, almost 3 points higher than the ACT average of students who attend an Illinois public school. Also, 99.9% of seniors graduate from high school, and 99.6% attend a 4-year college or university. Additionally, a recent class of graduating seniors were offered approximately $145 million in scholarships. Most importantly, my daughter will be formed in the image of Christ, so she has the moral foundation to make the right choices based on the teachings of the Catholic Church. Participating Catholic schools in the Diocese of Joliet, in conjunction with the Catholic Education Foundation, are offering transfer grants of $1,500 to elementary school students and $3,000 to high school students who transfer from a public school. Restrictions apply. For more information, go to weteachmore.com.
If you're aged 59 and a half or older with the 401k plan and still working, stop what you're doing and call Arlington Capital Management at 855-471-5796. They'll help you actively manage your 401k, show you strategies to avoid major declines, and capitalize on opportunities. There are benefits with age, and this is one of them. At 59 and a half, you're entitled to new opportunities in the investment world that can dramatically improve your results and even lower your fees. Call 855-471-5796 now and take the first step toward getting more out of your retirement assets. The team at Arlington Capital Management proactively explores the market, our economy, and all of the variables that offset your investments. Call 855-471-5796 now for a complimentary consultation. That's 855-471-5796 or visit arlington-capital.com. You worked hard to accumulate your nest egg. Now, it's time to put your money to work for you.
On AM 560, The Answer, your opinion counts. And we want to know how you feel about the news stories we're talking about each and every day. Make sure to vote in the M13 Graphics Opinion Express poll at 560theanswer.com. Listen for today's poll question at 10:30 a.m., 12:30 p.m., and 3:30 p.m. and hear the results each evening at 5:30. It's the M13 Graphics Opinion Express poll on 560theanswer.com.
At 5:57, checking the roads from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Al Verdi.
Thanks, Dave. On the Eden, still no delays at all. It's 19 either way from Lake Hook to the Kennedy Junction. Kennedy inbound slows from the O'Hare extension to Cumberland, again from Foster to Central, but just 22 in from O'Hare to downtown. Outbound still in good shape. Eisenhower in touches brakes from Mannheim to First. 36 in from Thorndale to the post office, just 30 back out. Stevenson in 39 from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Stop and go from the Ryan in. And Stevenson outbound, that's wide open. 55 looks good. Dan Ryan in. 24 from 95th to downtown. No outbound delays to talk about there. Traffic's a service of Staples. Staples know that when the only printer in your office that's not out of ink is 3 flights up, it's time. Staples has great prices on everything you need to print. Like buy one HP ink and get the second at 30% off and $7.22. Restrictions apply. See storestaples.com for details. Staples, it's pro time. Traffic answers when you need the most. I'm Al Verdi on AM 560, The Answer.
And now your forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Clouds and sun today with a shower or thunderstorm around, high 83. Then a shower or heavy thunderstorm in the area late tonight, low 70. Clouds and sun with a couple of thunderstorms around mainly early tomorrow when they could be strong, high 89. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
75 Lakefront, 74 Midway, 72 degrees at O'Hare. AM 560 News Time, 5:59. In the news from the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom, Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. A Chicago woman's demanding answers after her son died in prison downstate. Michael Jeffords' mother, Janelle Charles, says her son suffered injuries that show he was beaten to death. Relief could be coming soon to people affected by flooding in the northern suburbs. The Fox and the Chain of Lakes crested yesterday and are slowly receding. Cook County Assessor Joseph Barrios is facing scrutiny over the way his office determines property values. Board President Tony Preckwinkle plans an outside review of the assessment system. Amazon's bringing another facility to Chicagoland. The e-commerce company confirms it's bringing a shipping center this October to Crest Hill. It will create hundreds of new jobs. In sports, White Sox trade Todd Frazier, David Robertson, and Tommy Kahnle to the Yankees for prospects. Dodgers beat the Sox 1-0. The Cubs beat the Braves 5-1. The news is service of LifeLock. It's morning, and here's an eye-opener. LifeLock can see more threats to your identity than you can see if you're just monitoring your credit. And if something happens, a U.S.-based specialist can work to fix it. So go to lifelock.com and use the promo code RISK to save 10%. We'll have more of Chicago's Morning Answer coming up next, right after Fox News, WIND Chicago. It's 6 o'clock.
The fake news can even make a dinner of world leaders look sinister. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President Trump tweets, calling sick the story of a second discussion he had with Russian President Putin at the G20 summit. The White House says it was brief, and any insinuation they tried to hide it is absurd. Fox's Simon Owen has more live.
Dave, during the G20 summit in Germany earlier this month, world leaders and their spouses attended a dinner, and it was noted at the time that Vladimir Putin had been seated next to First Lady Melania Trump. Now, an American political scientist, Ian Bremmer, saying he's heard from other guests that during the meal, President Trump walked over to President Putin and the two spoke for roughly an hour. No official reaction from the Russian government yet, but one lawmaker in Moscow calling the report sensationalist and the U.S. media sick. Dave?
Simon, the president will have lunch with Republican senators. Obamacare is on the menu. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, this could be a tense lunch as deeply divided Republicans meet with a president who yesterday sounded exasperated by the stalled effort to pass a health care bill.
We're probably in that position where we'll just let Obamacare fail.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell floated the idea of a repeal-only vote similar to a bill passed in 2015 and vetoed by President Obama. White House spokesperson Sarah Sanders.
Do your job. It's time for Congress to do their job and do it now.
The repeal idea flopped when two senators, Lisa Murkowski and Shelley Moore Capito, who voted for the repeal 2 years ago, said they will now not support it. Dave?
Rachel, he heard a loud sound just before the shooting. That's what a Minneapolis police officer tells investigators. Then his partner opened fire, leaving an Australian woman dead Saturday night. Australian Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull wants answers.
How can a woman out in the street in her pajamas seeking assistance from the police be shot like that?
Minneapolis's mayor is hoping the officer who fired the shot will speak to investigators, but they can't force him. Fox News, fair and balanced.
There's so much to look forward to as the weather gets warmer. Outdoor sports and activities, backyard parties, and graduations. For your next celebration, party, or get-together, leave the eats to Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli. Whether it's around your table or theirs, Augie's is the place where sports teams, families, and friends celebrate with great food at a great price for almost 40 years. Try their signature subs, freshly made and fully loaded with the highest quality meats and cheese. Or choose from their fresh, never-frozen half-pound Angus beef burgers, authentic homemade Italian beef sandwiches, hand-rolled meatballs, pizza, and fresh salads. Dine in surrounded by authentic rock and roll memorabilia, or phone ahead for orders to go. Whatever works for your team, Augie's offers fast, fresh, affordable food, designed to make your special time with friends and family simple and easy. Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli in Carroll Stream or West Chicago. Don't forget to check out their extensive catering menu at augustinos.com. This season, let the good times happen with Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, can I still take advantage of today's low rates? Is it still a good time to refinance? The answer is yes. Now's a great time to call Quicken Loans at 800-QUICKEN. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.99%, APR 4.19%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Do you think identity theft is only when someone adds charges to your credit card? It's actually when someone pretends to be you to open new accounts in your name or any number of bad things. LifeLock can help. We use proprietary technology to alert you to a huge range of identity threats. And if you have a problem, we have a team of U.S.-based specialists who will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. Membership starts at $9.99 a month, plus applicable taxes. Go to LifeLock.com and use promo code NEWS to get 10% off.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Financial Planning with Jack Taboda, your 401k specialist, whose goal is to protect, preserve, and grow your wealth. Saturday mornings at 7.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning, Page 2 columnist John Cass over at the Chicago Tribune. John, Denny Hastert, he Speaker of the House. Longest-serving Republican Speaker of the House in American history. Long-time congressman from the suburbs.
Long-time combine boy.
Republican leader.
Is that what they call it, right? Well, I remember, if you look back on Denny Hastert's career, you're going to see he's part of the big spending, big government Republicans who were the handmaidens to the big government, big spending Democrats from Chicago and Illinois now, deal after deal in Illinois. Illinois is broke. And I put a lot of that at that group. And one of them is Denny Hastert, who's now out of prison, right?
Denny Hastert released early from federal prison just in time for the state fair on GOP Day. I wonder if he'll be invited.
Dogs.
I wonder if he'll be invited to GOP Day, since so many of those that are still in influential positions in the Illinois Republican Party were great fans and sycophants of said Denny Hastert, part of the combine that you're talking about.
Remember when Denny Hastert wanted to pick the United States Attorney for the Northern District? Do you remember when political reporters...
Well, that's not quite fair. He wanted to do it in conjunction with Richie Daley. Let's be fair.
And he made mock of Senator Peter Fitzgerald, a conservative Republican who bucked him. And as a result of that, the Illinois Republican Party, under that whole combine crew, including Cellini, Thompson, Edgar, all of them, refused to endorse for re-election the incumbent senator, Republican from Illinois, Peter Fitzgerald. And guess who ended up, and you had part of that later, not that you were part of that crew.
No.
But you were involved later. Who was the senator that replaced Peter Fitzgerald?
I believe that would be Barack Obama.
Thanks, Denny.
Yeah, there was that point about Denny Hastert. This is part of the underreported and underremembered history of Denny Hastert, where he and other Republicans that spent most of their career doing the bidding of Democrats, Judy Bart Topinka would be another example, we're actively undermining Peter Fitzgerald, and it was one of the reasons he decided not to run again. He decided basically to say, the heck with it. I'm not going to spend another, at that time, this is when Senate races were only $25 or $30 million. But I'm not going to spend another $15 million of my dollars to run against both parties.
My own party and the others. Right.
And so,
now he's out. Now Denny's out. So how does that work? He's out, and Rod Blagojevich is in prison, but Denny Hastert's out of prison. How does that work?
Is Denny Hastert, is he, because remember, he hasn't been convicted of sex crimes. He was convicted of financial transaction crimes. He faces civil litigation, but not criminal prosecution for the allegations of sexual molestation of boys. So is he going to go back to coaching wrestling? Is he going to, be kind of like a Dan Rostenkowski, a respected former politician out of prison who's on the Chicago news media panels talking about politics?
Rusty knew what he was talking about. Huh. So does Hastert.
Well, sure, Hastert knows what he's talking about.
Maybe he should be on the I'd say he, on Republican days, now that he's out, he should sit on the floats of those Republicans that put him into office.
Well, I mean, some of them,
maybe wherever they are now.
Well, some of them, I assume, would welcome him. Maybe do like a Denny Hastert bounce house at the state fair. What do you think?
That's cold, even from you.
Should he? Maybe he'll wear his siglet.
Does he have to?
Well, I mean, just because that's his thing. That's what people know him for, wrestling coach.
Right.
Except for alleged victims like Scott Cross, the brother of former House super minority leader Tom Cross, who Denny Hastert was a political mentor. Denny Hastert was Cross's political mentor, for whom Denny Hastert was his political mentor. And here's what Scott Cross said on CNN yesterday about Hastert's early release.
I was a little surprised. I was a little, to be honest, disappointed in the sentence that was given out. But that gave me a chance to kind of reflect on what I wanted to do, maybe moving forward, to try and be an advocate, to help others out with some of the things that I've done. In effect, the reason I came out is it was kind of like a slap on the wrist. He was charged with a financial crime, not what he had actually done to myself and others back in the 70s. And it was troubling to hear of the early release, but there was nothing I could do about that. I'm just trying to move on.
Remember, Judge Thomas Durkin, who presided over the case that sent Denny Hastert to federal prison.
I was there.
At his sentencing, he referred to Denny Hastert as, quote, a serial child molester, unquote.
Mm-hmm. It was something that was, for Illinois, to have the former Speaker of the House go through a perp walk was horrifying. I mean, I don't like Denny Hester.
Especially when we know what the underlying crimes are.
It was, yes, it was just sickening and horrifying. And I'm wondering, and you're in politics, okay? So I'm going to ask you this as from your other hat, not this one. And I should, I guess, ask it of myself because I know a lot of these guys too. How is it possible that a serial child molester, as Durkin said, Judge Durkin, can get that kind of political support early on? Don't the people around a candidate, I'm not talking about a consultant that comes in and helps with money to run a primary. I'm talking about the core supporters. How do they not know?
Was he that good at hiding what he was doing? Maybe. You know, I mean, that's it's kind of why pedophiles are able to exploit, right? Is because you don't pick up on the fact that they're a pedophile. And they obviously shame and leverage their victims into silence. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's the same. It's the Sandusky case, for example. It's a similar conversation. It's a similar conversation in many of these cases. So I don't know. I find it. I agree with you. I'm incredulous at the notion that he was the third most powerful man in the Western world for nearly a decade, and nobody had any inclination of anything.
Except perhaps the foreign intelligence services of many of our enemies. I can't imagine.
But then,
because once that toy's broken, you don't fix. I'm sorry, I don't believe in rehabilitation of child molesters. I just don't.
After he left Congress, remember, he had taken on foreign governments as clients, and basically being a lobbyist, like the government of Turkey. I mean, so
there was that whole Pringle business, and she was writing about it. Yeah, I know.
I don't know, but I'll tell you what. I mean, and some people say, well, you know, this is old hat, and I don't want to rehash
It's
this.
not. I'm going to rehash it because that's part of, you know why we have to rehash it? Because you have to understand where this state was. If you want to understand why the state's in the problem it is now, you got to look back on those guys. And I've been fighting them, and so have you, for years. I don't care what party they are. And they led it. They led us here.
You think Aaron Schock will be at the GOP day at the State Fair
or
next month?
Maybe oiling up his abs for like maybe another photo shoot?
You could do, I guess you could do.
What's he doing now?
You could do an Aaron Schock kissing booth next to the Denny Hastert bouncy house.
I don't know. But maybe I wouldn't go there, but I would say maybe a Downton Abbey.
Well,
Aaron
sure.
Schock, you know, like a little tableau.
Yeah. Maybe he would have swatches and kind of home decor offerings for people. He could have a tent with that at the State Fair.
You know, for all this talk about intelligence and Trump and collusion and Russians, it's interesting that a guy who was basically the linchpin of the establishment, you don't think that any of this country, House Speaker, Republican, you don't think foreign governments might have done work on that aspect?
Well, the issue and the issue. Well, that's one issue, and then the issue generally here and locally is: are we going to own the bad acts and bad actors of our party in the past? People are not responsible for what Denny Hastert did. Denny Hastert's responsible.
Yes.
However, do we have the whole story? Do we know everything about what everybody around him knew? We don't, and we probably never will. But the bottom line is, as the position that he held and what happened during his tenure and what happened in the wake of the revelations, just the same as George Ryan. It doesn't mean everybody who ever worked for Denny Hastert's a bad guy, or every Illinois Republican has to apologize for Denny Hastert. Of course, none of that is true. But what it does mean is that you have to account for what happens under your tent, because that's the way people have trust that you're willing to self-police your organization. And one of the failures of the Republican Party, in addition to choosing to be for many generations. I think Rauner represents the effort for a paradigm shift here. But the Republican Party in this state has bought into the kleptocracy model of governance. That's what you saw with those 16 really, surrender Republicans, Madigan Republicans who voted for the tax hike. They're still doing it.
You mean the Cellini party?
They're a big government-centric party. Even if you're not connected to Cellini, you're part of that culture, and you propagate that culture.
And it goes not only into politics, it's the relationship between politicians and journalists, the whole idea of the narrative, which is, let's make a deal.
Yes.
Can't we make a deal? You know what I always hate? When they say, can we make a deal? You know what that means? That means when I hear we're working together, we're working across the aisle. You know what that means? They're reaching into my pocket to take my money.
They're working together. They're scheming to rob a bank. That's working. You can work together to do bad things. I don't know why this is a foreign concept, but compromise isn't a dirty word, John. That's what you'll hear from the surrender Republicans and the big government press corps.
When I'd go to Springfield years ago, I'd hear it from, some of the even the media suck-ups, and it just make me ill.
Kevin in Northfield, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, guys. I feel that 560 The Answer is sort of the insider's view of Chicago, what's really going on. That being said, how would you comment on the belief among most people in the state that there is another famous politician, a governor, and a would-be vice president on a would-be vice presidential ticket for a person who ultimately won the presidency? This famous politician had some of the same personal issues, sexual issues that Denny Hastert.
I don't know. I don't talk.
Thanks
I
for
don't
the
talk
call,
about
Kevin.
anonymous. I don't. Let me see a charge and we'll talk about it. Let me see a criminal charge and we'll talk.
Or let me see somebody come forward.
I don't like rumors. I don't deal in them, and I don't.
Well, especially not of that nature. There has to.
Well, the rumor that I am actually Amy Jacobson right now, talking to you in the body of John Cass is one of my favorite rumors.
Candace in DuPage, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
Hey.
Dan, I had no idea what you just said, that they would not back Peter Fitzgerald. That needs to be Twittered out. I think a lot of people in Illinois who didn't start paying attention until Obama got into office had no idea, because that was a really good man. And I had no idea that Edgar and them, the GOP bunch, which are a bunch of rhinos here in Illinois, would not support him. That's shocking.
Thanks for the call, Candace. Well, I mean, and to the point you were making earlier, John, I think is relevant here, and it's one of the challenges is, look, if you don't know how we got here, and yes, you can decry Madigan up and down, and it's legitimate. He's bears the preponderance of the responsibility. But if you don't know how we got here, the collaborators and the collusion, to borrow a word, between the two parties over generations, then you don't understand what needs to be done to get somewhere else. The paradigm shift that I'm talking about, that I think Rauner has attempted to pursue.
He has, and he's different from the Republicans, which is why they wanted, many of them wanted Rauner to cut a deal with Madigan. Now, as far as Madigan goes, I'm a critic of him as you are, but I respect the man. I mean, I don't know of a harder working, more disciplined thinker in terms of strategic thinking than Mike Madigan.
I don't respect him.
Well, I do, because I know him, and I've seen how he works. He gets up in the morning like Dan Proft, and he gets up early. He goes to. I'm not a fan, for God's sake.
I understand you're not.
I'm calling him the Night King in Twitter.
Here's the thing. I don't think we should respect criminals.
I don't see how. I don't know if he's a criminal.
Well,
how do you say that?
Well, I mean, it may be legalized criminality, but it's
corrupt.
It's still
for sure.
Corrupt is a word that doesn't mean anything anymore. It's been bastardized and distorted through overuse. Everything's corrupt and everything's reform. I'm sick of that binary. Madigan is Bernie Madoff of Illinois. Bernie Madoff worked diligently too over many years.
He's the I forgot the fellow's name from New York. What's the guy's name from New York?
Sheldon Silver.
Yeah, in a sense, right? But he hasn't been. There's no charge.
I understand he hasn't been charged, and I'm not accusing him of crimes. I'm saying what we have here is a kleptocracy, so it's legalized crimes. I'm talking
Yes.
about moral crimes.
That I agree there.
He is the one who has been operating these Ponzi schemes, which the entire state government is one big Ponzi scheme, and that of course goes for Chicago and Cook County too. The entire power structure in this state has been running Ponzi schemes at the Chicago, Cook County level and the state level for kind of 100 years and 40 years concurrently.
We'll raise your taxes, and Mike will have a law firm that can reduce them.
So
that's called, if you're Italian, you're in, I would say you'd be indicted in a way, right? I mean, that's RICO.
Yeah, because somebody is a master criminal and gets away with it, you can recognize them for being a master criminal, for being very successful at aggrandizing himself, power, and money at the expense of others. You can recognize that, just like you can recognize that with a mob boss that never gets caught. And that's the comparison, but I don't respect it.
Well, I respect people who know what they want. Let's put it this way. I acknowledge that Mike Madigan knows what he wants, and he works to get it. And I think a lot of the Republicans out there don't know what they want, don't know what their message is, and until they do figure out clearly what they're about, what their voters want, they're going to have problems.
Well, I agree. I think they know what they. I think the surrender Republicans know what they want.
Which is what, a hug
Well,
from Mike?
No, which
like
is
that beautiful picture of what's his name with
Steve Anderson.
Like,
Yeah.
Thank you,
When
you, Mike, Father.
Yeah.
I love you, man.
Yeah, he got when he got made, right? So they know what they want. They want a sinecure, and they're willing to sell their soul for 30 pieces of silver over and over and over again. And that's the problem with Republicans. It's not like, oh gosh, I'm pulled in so many directions. I'm having a crisis of conscience. Yeah,
they want a job, maybe on the racing board.
Yeah,
something that pays with benefits, right?
Hey,
how it works.
Get in line. Everybody's doing it.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Dan and I will argue again in a few minutes, but right now it's partly sunny with a high near 80. Showers and thunderstorms likely overnight, low around 71. I'm still going to water my tomatoes when I get home. Right, El Verde?
Right, you are, John. Thanks, John, Dan. On the Edens inbound, we have a little bit of a delay now from Peterson to Montrose. Just 22 in, though, from Lake Cook to the Kennedy Junction. Still no outbound delays. Kennedy in is building, 26 in from O'Hare to downtown, 22 back out. Eisenhower in is heavy already, a 50-minute ride from Thorndale to the post office, and on the outbound trip, 36 back to Thorndale. Stevenson is 47 in from 355, 36 back out to 355, and 55 itself, that's moving well. Dan Ryan in a 28-minute trip from 95th to downtown, no outbound delays. 57 in slows from 103rd to the Ryan, and Bishop Ford touches the brakes inbound between Cottage Grove and the Ryan. Lakeshore Drive still looking good. No delays on Route 390 Tollway. Tri-State northbound backs up between Reagan and North Avenue. Also, the westbound 290 exit ramp stacks up. I'm Al Verdi in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
John Cass, text from 847. John, you're like Sansa admiring Cersei. Madigan deserves no respect. Ooh, that's a deep cut. That's a deep Game of Thrones
You
cut.
know what? If that makes me a beautiful redheaded girl with blue eyes, I think.
Sure, it's a small price to pay.
Right, yeah.
Have you seen the store shelves? They're already putting out the back-to-school supplies. School year may seem like a million years from now, but it's actually just around the corner. And maybe this summer you've been rethinking sending your kids to public school. Things are changing in our public schools and not always for the better. Now might be the time to consider sending your child to a private school, and you can do it for half the price of regular tuition thanks to halfpriceschools.com, where you can find tuition vouchers for private schools across Chicagoland available at half of the normal price. There's no catch. It's very simple. Find a private school near you, purchase the tuition voucher, and prepare to send your child off to school this fall. HalfPriceSchools.com has schools located across Chicagoland, including schools in Arlington Heights and Downers Grove, Palatine, Waukegan, Oak Lawn, Kankakee, Aurora, Mount Prospect. So don't delay. School will be starting again in a matter of weeks. Visit halfpriceschools.com today. Many of these vouchers already sold out, so don't wait. Visit halfpriceschools.com today. That's halfpriceschools.com.
Message and data rates may apply.
Does forgetting your password make your blood boil? If technology is supposed to make life easier, then why is it so difficult to log into apps and websites? We're about to simplify your life now by giving you free access to Dashlane, the award-winning app that remembers and protects all of your passwords, making it easy to securely access all of your accounts. Get Dashlane free for life on your favorite device right now by texting PASS to 543-543. Dashlane makes life online blissfully simple, safe, and secure. Trusted by over 7 million users and 6,000 companies. Top-rated in functionality, security, and ease of use. Honored with over 70,000 five-star ratings. Dashlane, where passwords are never lost, never forgotten, and always secure. Unlock free access to Dashlane for life on your favorite device right now by texting PASS to 543-543. After texting, please enjoy a sigh of relief. That's PASS to 543-543.
If you're missing teeth or even a single tooth, dental implants are a fantastic way to regain your confidence, your smile, your dental health. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. You hear a lot of people screaming at you about dental implants. Get it done in a day, or we can treat everybody, or hundreds of thousands of implants. Look, successful implants don't come from an implant factory. What you don't hear talked about is skill, treatment, and installation. These are what make for successful lifelong implants. And that's why you need to see Dr. Norouzi at Fox River Periodontics. Dr. Norouzi is the recommended choice of dentists that don't do implants. You need the experience, skill, and honesty that 24 years of dental implants brings.
This is Dr. Norouzi. I personally guarantee your happiness with your implants.
Call Fox River Periodontics, 630-232-7400, 630-232-7400, or just remember, implantsforme.com, implantsforme.com.
All Nissans are created equal. It's Nissan of St. Charles that makes the difference. At Nissan of St. Charles, we go the extra mile to make sure your happiness lasts as long as you own your vehicle. Every new Nissan or used vehicle we sell comes with our exclusive Lifetime Advantage warranty. So when you get your new Nissan at Nissan of St. Charles, you'll drive with peace of mind knowing it's backed by our exclusive warranty that lasts the lifetime of your vehicle. And be sure to ask about our Lifetime Tire program. Where else can you get a great deal on a new Nissan, a Lifetime Advantage warranty, and a Lifetime Tire program? The little things make all the difference. While all Nissans may be created equal, the difference is clearly Nissan of St. Charles. Located on North Avenue in the heart of St. Charles. Or visit us online at nissanofstcharles.com. That's nissanofstcharles.com. Nissan of St. Charles. Experience the difference.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and John Cass in for Amy this morning. And John, we were talking about Denny Hester being released from prison. Should the juice be loose? O.J. Simpson faces a good chance at parole. He is going before the parole board tomorrow. He's got a hearing, and he's now 70 years old.
Can he run for mayor of Los Angeles?
I don't know. It's a good question. Maybe he can primary Kamala Harris. He is approaching the 9-year minimum for his 33-year sentence for armed robbery and assault with a weapon. He really wanted that memorabilia back, you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't disrespect them. Come on.
So what about that?
I'm still trying to figure out, okay, he's going to get out. Hastert's getting out. OJ, questions. Maybe he did kill the people, maybe.
Oh, do you think?
What? And Rod Blagojevich is still in prison? I mean, I can't stand Rod Blagojevich. But for God's sake, where's the... I don't get it. Explain it, you who studied law.
What?
I guess they're different crimes, right?
Well, he's 9 years of a 33-year sentence, and that's a state crime, and Rod Blagojevich is 14 years of federal...
For embarrassing the President of the United States.
Truth in sentencing.
Right?
Well, I think also for being an embarrassment generally himself.
Yes.
Okay,
but he also, when you threaten the President of the United States, right, with embarrassment, I don't know.
Well, O.J. Simpson will now have more opportunity to pursue the real killers, and Rod Blagojevich will continue to have the
What kind of product is he going to sell?
Who?
If he
OJ?
gets out, yeah, like handy bundlers or something.
I
Or
don't- you-
something on.
You think Hertz will hire him back? You think he can still run through an airport and hurdle suitcases?
He can drive.
Sure. Call Al. Al's ready for the pickup. And then Rod will still teach
Bruno
Shakespeare.
Magli's shoes and the gloves. He can sell those.
I think Tiny Dancer is going to get the Bruno Magli contract over at Italy.
Arrivederci.
All right. Coming up, we'll talk Obamacare replace and what happens now that it's not going to be replaced with C. Stephen Tucker, who is a health insurance expert and the founder of healthinsurancementors.com. But now we check the headlines with Dave Stewart.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, John. Good morning. 72 degrees in Chicago at 6:31 at AM 560. The Answer. From the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom, Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Partly sunny skies today, a possible thunderstorm and a high of 83. After the GOP Obamacare repeal and replace effort failed, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says the Senate will vote next week on a repeal-only bill, but it's not clear if that has the votes to pass. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer wants Republicans to work with Democrats to improve the nation's health care system.
The time has finally come for our Republican colleagues to take us up on our offer of working together to improve the health care system.
At the Capitol, Schumer also criticized President Trump for saying it's time to let Obamacare fail. The White House confirms that President Trump did have a second meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin during the G20 summit. The previously undisclosed meeting happened during a dinner of world leaders this month in Hamburg, Germany. Governor Rauner says whatever Congress ends up doing with health care reform, what concerns him is the potential impact on the state's Medicaid system, which expanded under Obamacare.
I'm very concerned about it, and I've expressed that these changes could be very damaging. And I've said it publicly, and I've expressed those concerns to various members in Congress, as well as to the administration.
Under the Republican proposals for replacing Obamacare or even just a simple repeal, federal support for expanded Medicare would disappear. The leader of a group of Republicans in the Illinois House tells the Sun-Times he's not decided if he'll vote to override or promise veto of a pending school funding reform bill. Rep. Stephen Anderson says that he expects a lot of GOP members will vote in accord with their local school districts and how they would fare financially under the bill. Governor Rauner is vowing to cut a provision from the bill that would provide money for Chicago teachers' pensions. In sports, the Yankees on the other end of the trade with the White Sox today. The Sox trade infielder Todd Frazier and pitchers David Robertson and Tommy Kahnle to the Yankees for prospects. On the field, the Dodgers beat the Sox yesterday 1-0. The Sox host the Dodgers again today. Cubs over the Braves 5-1. Cubs in Atlanta again late this morning. The news, a service of CiCi's. Now at CiCi's, bring the party home this summer with 3 medium one-topping pizzas to go for just $4 each, only at CiCi's. At participating locations for a limited time. A purchase minimum 3 pizzas. AM 560 News Time 6:33. Traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560. The Answer.
Home isn't just a place, it's the feeling of knowing you're safe. ADT lets you take that feeling with you. Learn more at ADT.com.
You are about to hear from Dr. Douglas Howard.
After 20 years and tens of thousands of success stories, Balance of Nature is still the only pure whole food supplement available. Balance of Nature has served more than 500 million servings of fruits and vegetables. Don't accept imitations, copies, or substitutions. Our success stories are unique to Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You'll know you have the real thing when you open the bottles and see, smell, and taste real produce.
It is worth every penny I pay because they really have made such a difference in my life. It is making me feel a whole lot better.
Even my doctor thought it was a good product.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you for free. Call now for details.
Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code CHICAGO.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Do you know your bank's fraud tolerance? I'm Ann Dollagall, Treasury Management Executive. At Signature Bank, we have 0 tolerance. While some of the big banks may write off smaller incidences of fraud, we use a multi-layered approach to fight fraud before it happens to our customers. There's been a record number of businesses hit with payments fraud this year. Keeping your business assets safe is our top priority. We are trained, and we will train you to recognize potential wire fraud threats and business email compromise scams. Call us today to find out how Signature Bank can work with your business to fight fraud.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At 6:36 from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Al Verdi.
Thanks, Dave. On the Edens, inbound, a 25-minute ride from Lake Cook to the Kennedy Junction. It slows a little bit between Peterson and Montrose. Outbound from Montrose to Foster just touches the brakes a little bit. Kennedy Inn is a 29-minute ride O'Hare to downtown. About the same to get back out to the airport. On the Eisenhower, it's very heavy already. 56 in from Thorndale to the post office. 38 on the outbound trip. Stevenson Inn is jammed. It's an hour 10 from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. 43 on the outbound side. 55 traffic, that actually looks pretty good both directions. Dan Ryan Inn is 28 from 95th to downtown. No outbound delays. Traffic's a service of Dove Men Plus Care. Did you hear that 91% of guys that use Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant recommend it? Dove Men Plus Care user James said it has some kind of clever formula in there designed to look after the pits. Guess that makes Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant the smart choice for James. Pick some up at your local retailer today. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Al Verdi on AM 560, The Answer.
And now your forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Today, partly sunny, maybe a thunderstorm, and a high of 83. Mostly cloudy and humid tonight with a heavy thunderstorm possible late, low 70. Cloudy tomorrow, strong thunderstorms possible, and a high tomorrow of 89. Right now, 72 degrees at O'Hare. Next news, 7 o'clock. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Now more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Wine Time Radio. Every Saturday at 5 p.m. on AM 560, explore the wonderful world of wine with host James Crooker and Rob Lehner.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning is John Aria Cass Stark.
That's right.
Chicago Tribune.
I'm a 13-year-old killer girl.
John.
Changing faces.
On Obamacare replace, that's not coming to pass because it doesn't have the votes. One of the Republican senators, West Virginia's Shelley Moore Capito, said in explaining her opposition to just voting for a straight repeal with a 2-year window to figure out what the replacement looks like, even though she previously voted for the straight repeal just 2 years ago, she won't do it again because, quote, as I've said before, I did not come to Washington to hurt people. Although she did when she spoke at the 2016 Republican convention, pledged to, quote, turn the tide from a Washington that tells us who our doctors are and delivers a lower quality of care, unquote. So if you can square the circle of those two statements, then you're more of a logician than I am, and a magician.
Hypocrisy, consistency, and the hobgoblin of little minds.
Foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds.
So it's not foolish to expect a Republican senator who voted against Obamacare to repeal it in 2015 to stand up for it now that there's no Obama safety net, where you can't expect him, you know that he's not there to veto it.
It's
save me from myself.
Well, it's
interesting. Will someone rid me of these meddlesome selves of mine?
It's interesting, the parallel between the Madigan Republicans here and the Obamacare Republicans in D.C. because they use the same rhetoric. Their defense of surrender to big government, really, and sometimes not even surrender. That's where they really are. They are government-centric Republicans. They care about crises in the public sector to the exclusion of the crises they inflict on the 95% of people outside of the government sector.
Who pays them? Who sends them to Washington? Who
well, right.
Okay.
But the parallel, that's exactly what you heard from those 15 Republicans in the House, from the one Republican senator who voted for the Madigan tax increases without spending reforms just a couple of weeks ago. People are hurting. We're not here to hurt people. You're not here to hurt people. You have the worst governed state in the country, in the history of the country, really, the worst governed city. The burdens you're imposing, you're pushing people who don't want to leave out of this state. You're pushing people who don't want to leave their homes out of their homes. You're destroying people's home equity. You're negatively impacting their ability to send their kid to college, to have a good job, to save money for retirement. You're doing all those things, but as long as we're advancing Leviathan, then we're good people. That's essentially what they're saying, and this is why you had the Trump revolt, and this is why we need an Illinois revolt, but it has to be stoked.
Well,
it has to rally around a human visage, a carbon-based life form. That's what we need in this state.
Well, I'm waiting to see if the governor's going to be that person. In the meantime, as far as this goes, when Republicans tell me that government can't afford a tax cut, these are the same types. The same type.
And now, after they've surrendered, those handful of Republicans that were lying to you, just like at the state level here, now what happens? Who fills? Because power hates a void.
Oh, yeah.
It gets filled. So now, ride to the rescue. Chuck Schumer, I'm here to work constructively on improving Obamacare. And moderate centrist Republicans, the Tuesday group, are going to meet with moderate Democrats, whatever that looks like in the 21st century, to talk about how to fix Obamacare.
Right. They're like
Yeah.
the Senate, the Roman Senate, right before Sulla moves his legions into the city.
They're like the Illinois Senate.
Okay.
For more
Sulla.
on the health insurance matter and what happens now with Obamacare in force, we're pleased to be joined by our friend C. C.S. Tucker, founder and principal broker for healthinsurancementors.com and a health insurance market expert. Steve, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Good morning, gentlemen.
So what's the world going to look like in 6 months and a year if Obamacare in its current manifestation stays as is?
We're in trouble. As you know, we are down to 3 health insurance carriers that offer products in the state of Illinois. We currently do not have access to the top teaching hospitals, Northwestern, University of Chicago, Rush, and the Anna Robert Laurie Children's Hospital. And we just lost the only carrier left that offers access to the Anna Robert Laurie Children's Hospital, and that's Harkin Health. They lost $63 billion in 12 months, and they are now gone. So now that the Republicans have failed to do what they promised to do for 7 years in a row, we are now faced with an ever-dwindling market, and the only way we're going to get these health insurers back is if the president authorizes continuation of what's called CSRs, or cost-sharing reduction payments. And these payments are used to artificially reduce deductibles and copays for people below 250% of the federal poverty level. That is what the insurance companies are begging for. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal this morning where the insurance companies are now deciding what are they going to do, because we do not have a replacement bill, we don't have any certainty, and we have a risk of losing the CSR payments because they have not been authorized by Congress. So what's going to happen now, because the pathetic surrender party has not done what they should have done and promised to do, we're now going to be handing over, in my estimation, hundreds of billions of dollars to the insurance industry with no Medicaid reforms, with no option to purchase non-Obamacare qualified plans, which is what the Cruz Amendment would have allowed us to do. None of these things are going to happen now. We're just going to simply bail out the health insurance companies once again, and that's what's going to happen. Otherwise, we will have no insurer options. We're now looking at 44% of the counties in this nation with no health insurance carrier, or maybe one insurance carrier, and 3 states currently facing none at all.
Well, so
3 entire states.
Right, and so there is this provider of last resort, which is quickly becoming the provider of first resort, and that's the federal government. So does this crisis just move us closer to European style or Canadian style single payer?
Yes, which was the eventual goal. I mean, we've wiped out now 88 health insurers in the matter of 36 months, which is a remarkable destructive powers of Obamacare. And so we are looking at a situation where not only do we have fewer and fewer options in the individual market, but we're looking at a situation where 3 states right now, 3 entire states in our union have no health insurance option for next year. None.
So this is all the jargon aside. What happened was the insurance companies got what they wanted, right?
Well, in the end, they probably will, John, because the only option to bring them back is to hand them hundreds of billions of dollars in taxpayer dollars. I mean, if the government today mandated that car insurance must be covered, right, or you face a penalty, which, by the way, the penalties on individuals and employers, all of the taxes, they're all still there. The President of the United States cannot repeal a law via an executive order. The executive order that was issued in January by President Trump instructed the IRS to hold off on collecting the fine until a new law was put in place in order to reverse codified IRS law. Well, guess what? Thanks to the failure party, we now have no new codified law. So those fines on individuals for not buying health insurance are coming back. We're still going to be a part-time nation. But my point was, if the government said, hey, car insurance has to be mandated and you can buy it after you wreck your Maserati, there is no way that State Farm or any other PNC carrier would offer products in the car insurance market mandated by the federal government without hundreds of billions of dollars from taxpayers. So that's exactly what's going to happen, John. They're going to get more and more money.
So this is the argument that Holman Jenkins makes about the failure in the Wall Street Journal. He writes, Republicans and American voters don't want an individual mandate. They do want coverage of pre-existing conditions. There's a term for a system in which you're covered if you're sick, but you don't need to buy coverage, and the government promises to make it affordable. It's healthcare on demand with taxpayers footing the bill. It's single payer, at least for the sizable portion of the population who can't be induced through a giant tax incentive to accept insurance from their employer, or who are not already under some version of proto-single payer, such as Medicare and Medicaid. Obamacare was a dog's breakfast, but at least it was coherent on this fundamental point. And essentially he's arguing that the contradiction of the GOP position was fatal.
Yeah, here's the thing. When it comes to the issue of pre-existing conditions, what we were attempting to do was simply expand the rights that have been granted to 173 million Americans who buy their health insurance through an employer. Those people, 173 million Americans, have never, ever had to deal with pre-existing conditions because 1996 HIPAA law ensured that when they move from one employer-sponsored plan to the other, so long as they have no lapse of more than 63 days between those two employers, all of their pre-existing conditions are covered. And even if they couldn't find a new employer after losing a former employer's health insurance coverage, they were able to COBRA. Under the COBRA Act, they were able to continue their coverage for up to 18 months whilst they were looking for new employment. They never had to deal with pre-existing. It is a very small percentage of Americans, which has now grown to 23 million Americans, who buy individual health plans. And they are the ones who could have faced a pre-existing conditions. However, 45 states, long before Obamacare, had a high-risk pool in place or an annual open enrollment period so that people, if they were denied in the individual market, were guaranteed coverage through that risk pool. We had it here in Illinois. It was called the Illinois Comprehensive Health Insurance Plan. It's just a pool of money that insurers were forced to contribute a percentage of their profits to in order to cover those people who were denied for their products in the individual market. So it was working. We could have made sure that the 5 states that did not have one of those mechanisms in place, which were violating federal law, had one in place instead of taking over the entire healthcare system. But we chose to take over the entire healthcare system. We didn't, but the Democrats did.
Let me ask this question, Steve. If they were able to get back to 50 in the Senate and just do a straight repeal with a prospective 2-year window, and that's ultimately where congressional Republicans wound up, with a straight repeal and the replace a matter for haggling for some time yet to follow. So we went back to a pre-Obamacare situation. What would that look like? Is that even possible? Can we go back to the future pre-Obamacare?
First of all, you have to have 60 votes in order to repeal a piece of legislation, not 50 votes. Not that we even have 50 votes, because as we found out yesterday, Murkowski, Shelley Moore Capito, and Susan Collins wouldn't even vote for that, right? So it's a fantasy that we're ever going to fully repeal Obamacare with the simple majority that we have now. That said, let's say that fantasy took place and we went back to, without any Obamacare disruption, right back where we were. Then what we would have to do is fix the 5 states that were violating federal HIPAA law. They had either robbed money that were in their high-risk pools for other things, which was illegal under the Federal Act to do, or they just simply ran out of money for those high-risk pools. If we would install a risk mechanism into those 5 states, then all 50 states would have had a risk mitigation program for those in the individual market, and it would have cost us an awful lot less than what we spent on Obamacare.
All right, he is C. Stephen Tucker, healthinsurancementors.com. C.S. Tucker, a dismal day, but we appreciate your explanations and insights as always.
Thank you.
My pleasure. And
he joined us on the turnkey.pro answer. Let's take a couple of calls real quick. Pete in Montgomery, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, Dan. Morning, John.
Hey.
So, real quick, as a side note, how much do you want to bet that Illinois is one of those 5 states that didn't follow the law? And then, secondly, I think the real repeal we need to go to is a repeal of the 18th Amendment and have our senators, once again, appointed by the state governors and serving at their will.
That's the 17th Amendment.
I'm sorry, 17th Amendment, rather than having them be elected and pandering to parties at every 6 years. It totally disrupts the popular separation that was supposed to be.
Thanks for the call, Pete. I mean, it's interesting, but here's the problem. Getting
Madigan would pick our senators.
Right. I mean, yeah. So instead of pandering to the populace, you pander to the power structure in Springfield, for example, to be a U.S. senator. You think we're going to get a better quality of people when it's Madigan or the politicians in the General Assembly picking U.S. senators?
I would recommend some good reading on this subject. That would be the American Conservatives' Robert W. Mary, writing Like Rome, America could be ripe for tyranny. He talks about that, about the destruction of the polity, and it's not only about Trump.
And Victor Davis Hanson has a good piece about America's coming 5th war. We'll talk end of days a little later on.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Keith Peters in for Lou Dobbs. The government wants the Dakota Access Pipeline to stay open during an environmental review. 59 Sears stores closing in Canada, and Ericsson posts big losses. Those stories next.
Have you racked up more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? You should know. The credit card companies are tricking you into thinking there's no way out. Credit card companies would rather you didn't know that there are ways you can become debt-free, and you don't have to pay the entire amount you owe. There are debt relief programs that help people like you escape overwhelming credit card debt. National Debt Relief has helped tens of thousands of people just like you reduce more than $500 million of debt. National Debt Relief has helped so many people. They're A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau. You don't have to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan. You have the right to settle your debt for a mere fraction of what you owe. Reduce a portion of your debt now. Call National Debt Relief at 800-975-5115. 800-975-5115. That's 800-975-5115.
The U.S. government is lobbying to keep the Dakota Access Pipeline open and operating during environmental reviews, which could take the rest of this year to wrap up. The Texas company that operates the pipeline says a shutdown during any review would cost it $90 million a month. Sears' Canadian subsidiary has been given court approval to begin liquidating 59 Sears stores starting this Friday. The sale of merchandise, fixtures, and equipment will continue until October 12th. Economic reports due out today include an update on housing starts and the Mortgage Bankers Association's weekly report on mortgage applications nationwide. Ericsson shares dropped more than 15% Tuesday after the mobile networks company posted second quarter losses and plunging sales figures. The Swedish company plans more cost cutting due to these results. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight at 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. I'm Keith Peters for the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Upstream-ideas.com, premium content that complements what we do each morning on this show. Long-form interviews this week featuring Dan Patlak, Cook County Board of Review Commissioner, talking property taxes. That's our Against the Current interview series. A new series we've launched, Heart of the Matter, which is professional women speaking colleague to colleague about the salient public policy issues of the day. Podcast of Illinois Rising, covering state politics and policy, that airs on these airwaves Sundays at 3 p.m., as well as my 60 Seconds of Sanity commentaries this week on the Charlie Gard case. Pat Hughes from Illinois Opportunity Project offering his 2-minute warnings. It's all at upstream-ideas.com.
Here's microbiologist Dr. Kim O'Neill talking about balance of nature.
Scientific research has shown that many cancers and lifestyle diseases can be prevented with a diet rich in fruits and vegetables. This prevention comes from the phytochemicals in the plants. They fight against oxidants that damage the cell's DNA, causing mutations that lead to disease. I don't take any supplementation, but I take Balance of Nature because I've seen it in my lab. I've seen the immune response increase, I've seen your DNA repair capacity increase, and I've seen DNA protection, and I know that it works.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
As a cop, checking on seniors who weren't answering the phone often meant bad news.
Meet Robert, a retired cop, now a senior citizen.
We'd get sent to the home of a senior with health issues, and too often that senior had fallen or had a stroke and couldn't reach the phone. Now that I'm retired, I carry mobile help everywhere. It's my insurance in an emergency, and it looks cool too, like one of those fitness watches.
Most alert devices only work in the home, but Mobile Help works at home and away, nationwide on one of the largest cellular networks. If you need help, simply press the button. Mobile Help pinpoints your location and connects you to a U.S.-based operator who will get you the help you need. Call now for up to 25% off, plus a free emergency lockbox with purchase. Call 1-800-915-8186. 800-915-8186. 800-915-8186. System coverage while on AT&T network. Savings based on annual DUO purchase plan with medication reminder feature added.
Hello, this is financial advisor Dale Bradley speaking to you from the Bradley Investment Center in Evanston. Have you ever made an investment through one of those large national brokerage firms? Have you ever felt like just a number? Well, at Bradley Investment Center, our goal is not to be the largest practice, it's simply to be the best by establishing and keeping true personal relationships. Visit us at BradleyInvestmentCenter.com. That's BradleyInvestmentCenter.com. Or better yet, stop by and say hello. We are at the corner of Central and Central Park in beautiful Northwest Evanston. We strive to be the center of all your family's investment needs. For more information, call the Bradley Investment Center at 855-940-8700. That's 855-940-8700.
Bradley Investment Center. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc. Bradley Investment Center is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and John Cass in for Amy this morning, and coming up at 7:07 is the most unproductive Congress in 164 years. A good thing or one of the reasons why the country's coming apart? We'll discuss, but now we check the headlines with Dave Stewart.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Dan. Among the stories we are watching this morning here in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom, a Chicago woman thinks her son was beaten to death in prison. The northern suburbs are getting a little relief from the flooding of the last week or so. County Board President Toni Preckwinkle says she wants a review of the property assessment system. In sports, the White Sox are trading for prospects. The Dodgers beat the Sox yesterday 1-0. Sox host the Dodgers again today. Cubs over the Braves 5-1. Look for a partly sunny day with a possible thunderstorm and a high of 83. Those stories and more after a check of national headlines from Fox News. You're listening to AM 560 The Answer, WIND Chicago. It's 7 o'clock.
Can they all agree on anything? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump will bring all the Republican senators to the White House today for lunch. Amid all the uncertainty over what to do about Obamacare, Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
The meeting comes with President Trump today as they look for a way to bring health care reform back from the dead. The president said yesterday it may be time to let Obamacare fail.
We're not going to own it. I'm not going to own it. I can tell you the Republicans are not going to own it.
Republican leader Mitch McConnell killed a repeal and replace plan on Monday night due to lack of votes. And then a repeal-only plan hit the skids when 4 GOP senators said they wouldn't support it. 2 of them, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Shelley Moore Capito of West Virginia, voted for a similar repeal plan just 2 years ago. Dave?
Rachel, President Trump has nominated former Utah governor and presidential candidate Jon Huntsman to be ambassador to Russia. And the president is calling sick the media reporting on a second discussion he had with Russian President Putin at the G20 summit in Germany during a private dinner of world leaders. It reportedly lasted as long as an hour between just the 2 presidents and a Russian interpreter. The White House says, though, it was brief, wasn't a meeting, and the insinuation they tried to hide it is absurd. In Minneapolis,
we all want answers. We all want to see justice done.
Mayor Betsy Hodges hopes the officer who shot and killed an Australian woman Saturday night will talk to investigators. His partner says he was startled by a loud sound just before the shooting. Justine Damon, who was already using her fiancé's last name before next month's wedding, was in her pajamas after calling 911 to report a possible sexual assault she'd heard outside her home. A barely contained wildfire that's torched 39 square miles in Northern California has evacuated the small town of Mariposa. At least 1,500 homes are threatened, including this man's.
They put an engine at my house, so I feel pretty good about that. So if the fire does come over and get close, hopefully they can control it.
The fire outside of Yosemite National Park has burned 8 buildings so far. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Good morning, 72 degrees in Chicago at 7:02 on AM 560 The Answer. I'm David Stewart from the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. Partly sunny day on tap with a possible thunderstorm and a high of 83. Chicago woman demanding answers after her son died while in custody downstate. Michael Jefferson's mother, Janelle Charles, says her son suffered injuries that show he was beaten to death.
I just want to fight, and I want to fight for justice for my son.
Authorities say her son, Michael Jefferson, passed away last week after he was found unresponsive in his cell at the Menard Correctional Center. Relief could be on the way to people affected by flooding in the northern suburbs. The Fox River and the chain of lakes crested yesterday. They are slowly receding. However, there's some concern about rain expected to fall in the coming days. Cook County Assessor Joseph Berrios facing scrutiny over the way his office determines property values. Berrios grilled by county commissioners yesterday. They expressed concerns that the system favors the wealthy at the expense of the poor. And Board President Tony Preckwinkle plans an outside review of the assessment system. Governor Rauner not apologizing for the wholesale changes he's making to his management team in the wake of the override of his budget vetoes. Critics are seeing a turn to the right, but Rauner says he's always looking to improve.
And we will be striving every day to have the best people possible who are committed to the people of Illinois, not committed to politics, not committed to other things, but they put the interest of the people of Illinois first.
Rauner putting a new team in place as he gears up for a re-election fight next year. In sports, the White Sox trade infielder Todd Frazier and pitchers David Robertson and Tommy Kahnle to the Yankees. They get prospects in return. On the field, Dodgers over the Sox 1-0. Sox host the Dodgers again today. The Cubs keep rolling, beating the Braves 5-1. The Cubs in Atlanta late this morning. News and service of Ashley Home Store.
Hurry in to Ashley Home Store for the sale and clearance event. Don't miss the $500 million blowout with 24% off plus 24 months no interest. Or get 72 months no interest. Ashley Home Store. This is home.
AM 560 News Time 7:04. Traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you crave work that matters? 20 years ago, Bob Buford's book, Halftime, took business leaders from success to significance in their work. That book started a movement and the Halftime Institute. Now, from Institute CEO Dean Nawalny comes the next new powerhouse book, Trade Up. Building on Bob's legacy, Trade Up shows marketplace leaders how to not just make money, but make a difference. If the word smoldering discontent describe you, then trade up. Go to halftime.org. That's halftime.org.
3 Doors Down, Us in the Night Tour 2017. It's not my time, I'm not going. 3 Doors Down with special guest Filter, Saturday, July 22nd, Grand Victoria Casino in Elgin. Tickets on sale now at gbctickets.com. 3 Doors Down, part of the Grand Victoria Summer Concert Series. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Think you can't manage the down payment it takes to purchase a new home? Think again. You could move into a $150,000 home with as little as $1,500 down with our 1% down payment option. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.99%, APR 4.19%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Do you think identity theft is only when someone adds charges to your credit card? It's actually when someone pretends to be you to open new accounts in your name or any number of bad things. LifeLock can help. We use proprietary technology to alert you to a huge range of identity threats. And if you have a problem, we have a team of U.S.-based specialists who will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. Membership starts at $9.99 a month, plus applicable taxes. Go to LifeLock.com and use promo code NEWS to get 10% off.
At 7:06 from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Alverdi.
And thanks, Dave. Let's start out with the Tri-State. Southbound, it is slow between Belvedere and Buckley. Left lane is blocked with a vehicle fire there. Then on the Edens, inbound is slow from Devon to Montrose. 26 in from Lake Hook to the Kennedy Junction. 27 on the outbound ride. Kennedy inbound is heavy already. 39 in from O'Hare to downtown. 37 back out to the airport. Eisenhower inbound 53 minutes from Thorndale to the post office. 42 to get back out there. Stevenson in is an hour 6 from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Really jams from Harlem into the Ryan. And outbound is also heavy, a 50-minute trip there. 55 northbound backs up between Weber and Route 53. On the Ryan, it's 29 in from 95th to downtown. Outbound, really no delays to speak of. 57 in slows from 103rd to the Ryan. And Bishop Ford inbound from Cottage Grove to the Ryan's backed up. Traffic answers when you need the most. I'm Al Verdi on AM 560, The Answer.
And now the forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. And here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
High levels of ozone will lead to poor air quality today. We'll see intervals of clouds and sunshine with a shower or a thunderstorm around. A bit more humid with a high 83. Shower or heavy thunderstorm in the area tonight, low 70. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560. The Answer.
It's 76 at the lakefront, 75 at Midway and O'Hare. Next news, 7:30. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Revealed with Randy Barcella. Heard each and every Sunday at 8 a.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning is Chicago Tribune columnist extraordinaire John Cass. And
buongiorno.
Yeah.
Buongiorno.
Oh, it's very cosmopolitan.
Very Italian.
Very Italian. We'll get to Tiny Dancer and his excursion. Amalfi Coast? Where is he? Do we know?
Milano. He was at least scheduled there.
What do you think? A Brioni guy or a Xenia guy?
You were saying Xenia earlier.
It's a trick question. He's not a guy.
Pardon me?
He's Tiny Dancer. He's post-gender.
He's not.
Come on.
He's a guy.
Here's the big issue of the day, though, and that is Senate Republicans at present waving the white flag on Obamacare repeal thanks to big government Obamacare Republicans. Obamacare Republican Susan Collins, and she's always been one, to be fair. And then newly minted Obamacare Republicans, Senator Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, Senator Shelley Moore Capito from West Virginia, who voted for Obamacare repeal straight away 2 years ago and now won't do it. The Obamacare Republicans, as the Wall Street Journal opines, ran on fiscal discipline but rejected the best chance for entitlement reform in a generation. They campaigned against deficits. Some, like Moran from Kansas and Heller from Nevada, even endorsed a balanced budget amendment. Yet they dismissed a $1.022 trillion spending cut. They denounced Obamacare's $700 billion in tax increases, but then panicked over repealing tax cuts for the rich and piled on some moralizing about how they don't want to hurt people just for good measure. That's what Senate Republicans did, and this is how President Trump responded.
You can see that. You see that better than anybody sees it, the soldiers that are with us today. We've had a lot of victories, but we haven't had a victory in health care. We're disappointed. I am very disappointed because, again, even as a civilian, for 7 years I've been hearing about health care. And I've been hearing about repeal and replace. And Obamacare is a total disaster. Some states had over a 200% increase, a 200% increase in their premiums. And their deductibles are through the roof. It's an absolute disaster. And I think you'll also agree that I've been saying for a long time, let Obamacare fail, and then everybody's going to have to come together and fix it and come up with a new plan, and a plan that's really good for the people with much lower premiums, much lower costs, and much better protection. I've been saying that, Mike, I think you'll agree, for a long time. Let Obamacare fail. It'll be a lot easier. And I think we're probably in that position where we'll just let Obamacare fail. We're not going to own it. I'm not going to own it. I can tell you the Republicans are not going to own it. Really? We'll let Obamacare fail, and then the Democrats are going to come to us, and they're going to say, how do we fix it? How do we fix it? Or how do we come up with a new plan?
Let Obamacare continue to fail. Is that the right tack for President Trump to take? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 646-360-A, turnkey.pro text line.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of what he said is legit. Let the Democrats come, let it fail. But he was saying early on, let's not let it fail because it would be immoral to let it fail. Remember?
You say we could do this, but right, it's the wrong thing to do.
It's the wrong thing to do. And I think
now he has no choice.
You and I were
does he have a choice?
You and I were talking about this months ago, and at least I was saying let it fail and then come in, right? Let it fail, and the smart politics would be let the premiums jack up and people lose their health care and then come to it, have some leverage. But that didn't happen.
Well, here's the thing, though. Even in that clip that we just played from President Trump, there's a contradiction, and it won't be picked up by many people because many people aren't me. But it's this, John.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, I know. You're still letting that wash over you.
For the theater of the mind, you should know that there's a radiant glow coming out of Dan's ears right now. It's sort of like an icon of sorts.
Yeah.
Come on, Saint Danny. Let's hear.
What did President Trump say? It's going to be better. We'll have Democrats come to us so we can get something that is lower cost. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. Lower cost, better quality, more protection.
Yeah, because that's why we're Americans, to be protected by our government.
Right. So more lower cost, better quality, more protection. The third part of that is mutually exclusive to the first two. And this is the problem that Republicans have. This is the fundamental problem Republicans have.
They don't want to be mean.
They're making a hybrid argument that cannot be sustained rather than making a principled argument that could be.
You with your logic. I'm sorry, where'd you learn that? Bennett Academy? The whole.
In fact, I
logic.
did.
Yeah, right? Sort of like a.
Well, here's what President Trump said in addition at that same little press gaggle. In terms of where do we go from here, I would say he doesn't quite know based on this statement.
For so many years, I've been hearing repeal and replace. I'm sitting in the Oval Office right next door, pen in hand, waiting to sign something, and I'll be waiting, and eventually we're going to get something done, and it's going to be very good. But Obamacare is a big failure, and it has to be changed. We have to go to a plan that works. We have to go to a much less expensive plan in terms of premiums, and something will happen, and it'll be very good. Maybe quick as we had hoped, but it's going to happen.
Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to tell everybody, take back everything you ever said about Greece, okay? Because there was a lot of Greek, as an American of Greek descent. Notice I didn't say Greek American. As an American of Greek descent, I have to tell you that I've heard a lot of digs on this show and elsewhere, the Greek economy, et cetera. Well, this is what happens. Sooner or later, the money runs out, and it's all a pile of flaming cheese.
Well,
okay? And that's
Oompa.
It's Oompa. But that's what come on. You saw the menu. He just dictated the menu for flaming cheese. Right, didn't he?
Well,
come on.
Something will happen, and it's going to be good.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I got to say, that's not particularly reassuring, and I can understand why the president is a bit befuddled in terms of which direction to take this. Now, of course, Chuck Schumer and the Democrats aren't. They're stepping right into the void created by Republican fecklessness and saying, oh, we're here to help. We're constructive. We want to work with people, the majority party, to fix Obamacare, to improve it. We're going to improve the centrally planned gambit. And you know what improvement means. Improvement from politicians, from central planners, from the commissars, is a synonym for bigger. Improvement is always bigger.
Bigger what? Bigger line for the same pair of shoes that everyone has to wear?
Right. If a government program is failing, the way you remedy it is to scale it. That's according to the left and big government Republicans too, and that's what Schumer is going to advocate. But in terms of Trump, again, the tack is it let Obamacare fail, let things get worse for millions of Americans, particularly those in the private health insurance market, and then something good will happen. You encouraged by that? You going to stick with this president, this Congress? Do you distinguish between the two, the president and the Congress?
Will they? Or are they just going to say a pox on all their houses?
I think
you Republicans, you suck, basically.
Well, but the pox isn't going to be on Trump's house, not in 18 at least. It may be on the actual House Republicans and to some extent Senate Republicans. Are you willing to essentially punish Republicans if this is where we are come this time next year, going into the midterm elections, and say, you know what, I'm not going to tolerate a slow walking socialist who lies to me. I'm going to go to the other side and vote for the actual socialists, the Proud Mary socialists, right?
You know, why not? Why not sit in our backyards with beer and just go on welfare and wait to die? Watch some TV, worry about the Conor McGregor fight, which is a waste of money. The government should also subsidize that.
McGregor, Mayweather?
Well. Yeah.
Mayweather's too fast.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's, and deal with that stuff and just give up. Yeah?
Verlin on the south side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Now, let me tell you something. Trump is the only one that's making sense when he says, let Obamacare fail, and something will happen. Now before you jump down my throat, let me tell you how people like Rand Paul and the conservatives are pulling the wool over everybody's eyes. Listen, you're not going to get 60 votes for a true repeal. And if you're talking about repealing through reconciliation, 51 votes, guess what? That's just a shell game. Because the only thing, in essence, they're saying is they're going to zero it out, and you're not going to pay taxes for 3.5 years or 7.5 years. But you know what that means? Obamacare is still on the books. So if we get set up and we don't come out and vote, like John Cash says, let's just hang in the backyard and drink beer, then Democrats are going to win the House. Democrats are going to win the Senate. You may get a Democrat president, and what's going to happen? Obamacare is still on the books, so it's going to come right back. So let Obamacare fail. Let everybody get hysterical, and one of those bills, whether it's from Paul Ryan or whether it's from the Senate, will be voted upon, and we will have a repeal and a replace. So let Obamacare fail. Trump is the one that's making sense. Everybody else is pulling the wool over people's eyes and doing a shell game. That's what Rand Paul is doing with his grandstanding. He's starting to piss me off, man. Just vote on something, then improve on it later. Just get Obamacare out of here, man. That's what I'm talking about.
Thanks for the call, Verlin. Always appreciate it. Mark in Joliet.
Hey, good morning, Dan and John. The problem with just allowing Barack Hussein Care to die on the vine and let everybody else keep your fingerprints off of it is that it's 2,700 pages of law that have almost nothing to do with health care. So if the few paragraphs that do have to do with health care do die, what about the rest of it? It's got to be repealed in full, period.
All right. Thanks for the call, Mark. Is that a address your concerns, John Cass, now that you understand, particularly from Verlin, that
Rand
Donald
Paul.
Trump is right where he needs to be? Something good will happen.
When I hear that, something good will happen, I feel like I'm in an icy river without waders up to my chin, you know?
Ralph.
Just start shriveling up.
Ralph and Rantoul.
Yeah.
Good morning. Hey, John. Hey, here's the problem. And I don't mean having something ready to replace it. I mean, if there's no actual sufficient plan that is there to prepare for the failure of Obamacare, which is imminent because it absolutely ignores and tries to redefine economics, won't happen. The problem is that real companies, without being propped up, without getting government quan shoved at them, real companies will fail. They will run out of cash. And if real companies fail, then what's left? Of course, single payer. The government comes in and says, we'll take it all over. So you can't resurrect real companies when they fail, when they run out of cash. Why? Because they go away. People go away. They find other jobs. So I'm getting so tired of the Republicans pretending like they want to get rid of it and either being too stupid to do something to really get rid of it or too unwilling. And I suspect it's a combination of both.
Thanks, Ralph. Clay on the north side.
Hey, I think letting it fail actually presents an opportunity because while they're scrambling around looking for something to do, the free market can step in. And before they know it, all the gaps and all the problems will be filled in, just like those guys out in Kansas City or whatever, where they charge $50 a month and everyone's covered. I think it'd be a great opportunity for the free market to step in, and they can just look at this and say, oh, okay, well, that works.
Thanks for the call, Clay. I'll tell you what, if we go further down this road to single payer, what you will have, maybe
death panels.
Well, you on the government side, but you will have what Clay is referencing, concierge services and private sector alternatives. And even if they're outlawed, you'll either have the free market or you'll have a black market because, of course, the underreported story from leftists and the central planners and the plunderers about single payer in European countries and our neighbor to the north is the black market for health care or mobility from for people with additional means, but the black market.
I'll have to take a bus ride to Jalisco for my liver.
Well,
if I need one, not that I drink. I'm not a drinker, but you know, right?
The point is the idea that you're not going to have two systems of health care or even more gradations of health care like
we have them now. Just look at the Congress, and they have the good plan, and everyone else doesn't.
Al in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I just want to clarify prior caller's comments about Rand Paul. I would say Rand Paul is not grandstanding, but one of the few people who's actually standing on principle. He didn't want to repeal and replace Obamacare so that the Republicans own something that's almost as bad, and now it stays forever. He wanted to actually repeal it, and when that wasn't available and he acknowledged the votes, he said the approach is to repeal any and everything that we can all agree is bad about it. And I think that's actually very practical, and it would make a lot of progress. It's not perfect, but it's way better than everything else that's going on right now.
You're referencing what he said to Stephanopoulos this morning, right, where he talked about a clean repeal?
Right. That's Rand Paul's fallback position per what the Senate proposal was, even with the Cruz amendment to it. Steve in Indianapolis.
Yes, everybody talks about it as health care. It's a tax. The Supreme Court said that. They're not going to get rid of a tax. Obama gave them a legal way to build more money out of the American people. In my opinion, they're stalling because they just want to know, how do we keep the tax and put it towards something else that we want to spend on and get rid of the health care? So when they can figure out how they can keep the tax but get rid of the health care, then they'll probably move on it. But then a tax doesn't go away.
Well, a tax could go away, but I understand what you're suggesting. I think they're really trying to figure out how they keep this and also keep their seats. That's what they're trying to figure out. Yeah, thanks.
Exactly, yeah.
Thanks for the call, Steve. Appreciate it. Philip on the north side.
Hey, good morning, guys. I always love you guys on the show here. I was just wondering, what was wrong with our system before we signed into health care? What was wrong with this? Everything seemed to be pretty much fine.
Poor people weren't covered as much.
I'm sorry?
Poor people didn't have coverage, and it was all the scam. I think we got to put up a statue to Mr. Gruber.
I think poor people had coverage, John. I think we went to Cook County Hospital in different places and stuff that. Maybe it could have been improved, but
right, they wanted better coverage.
Yeah, okay. The socialists always want more money. I don't know that. I don't understand what was wrong with America before Obama got in.
Thanks for the call, Philip. You know what the problem was with health insurance before Obamacare? It's the same problem with Obamacare. Too much government involvement. Government was already the largest purchaser of health care through Medicaid and Medicare before Obamacare.
Subsidizing it drives up the price.
And those programs, Medicare it's functionally insolvent, and Medicaid is a budget buster at the state level. All this before Obamacare. So what did we do? Expanded government's role. So it creates more externalities, more pronounced externalities, limits choice, reduces quality. That's what government involvement was doing prior to Obamacare. Now we've exponentially increased that under Obamacare. So Rand Paul is right to kind of wind the clock back, more like to 1965. If you really want to talk about having a market in health insurance, like we have markets in other goods and services in this country.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. On AM 560, The Answer.
Message and data rates may apply.
Attention, it is illegal to text and drive. So if you're experiencing hair loss and you want a permanent solution, please pull over now, because an incredible offer that could give you your hair back is just one text away. Bosley is the world's most experienced hair restoration expert, always pioneering the latest technology. And now, we're giving everyone who texts the word GROW to 543-543 an absolutely free information kit that reveals just how easy and affordable this permanent solution really is. Don't wait. When you text GROW to 543-543, we'll also give you a gift certificate for $250 off. Millions of men and women have come to Bosley for a permanent solution to hair loss. So pull over now and see for yourself how great your hair could look with an absolutely free information kit. Text GROW to 543-543. Plus, get a free gift certificate. This amazing offer is just one text away. GROW to 543-543.
Sheet metal is a big part of commercial and industrial facilities. Look around your business and you'll quickly notice how many components use sheet metal. From fan systems and hoods to machinery guards and much more. For top quality sheet metal work, get to know the pros at Vans Industrial.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, owner of Vans Industrial. Vans Industrial is an industrial sheet metal contractor that can fabricate all types of alloys up to 1-inch plate. We perform jobs including chutes, hoppers, stacks, siding, and dust collection. We work in material handling facilities including steel, chemical, agricultural, food processing plants, and more. Vans Industrial can also design and perform the engineering for a complete turnkey installation. Our quality work is installed by trained mechanics who will work closely with you to make sure the job is done right.
Call 219-931-4881 for a free inspection of your facility. Interested in what else they do? Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com. Quality craftsmanship since 1964.
You are about to hear from Dr. Douglas Howard.
After 20 years and tens of thousands of success stories, Balance of Nature is still the only pure whole food supplement available. Balance of Nature has served more than 500 million servings of fruits and vegetables. Don't accept imitations, copies, or substitutions. Our success stories are unique to Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You'll know you have the real thing when you open the bottles and see, smell, and taste real produce.
It is worth every penny I pay because they really have made such a difference in my life. It is making me feel a whole lot better.
Even my doctor thought it was a good product.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you for free. Call now for details.
Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code Chicago.
Dan Proft here with an important message for Chicagoland business owners. If you own or rent your building, chances are that you're paying more than your fair share of property taxes. Ask yourself this question. If you could lower your property taxes with the help of licensed professionals who have an 80% average success rate, yes, you heard that right, an 80% success rate, lowering business owners' property taxes, would you do that? Corporate Valuation Advisors has reduced their clients' property taxes on average by 20% over their 25-year service history throughout the greater Chicagoland area. Here's a Corporate Valuation Advisor's recent property tax savings success story from a local Chicago business owner. Their first year of property tax savings equaled $26,265. The total 4-year property tax savings equaled $104,679. Call Corporate Valuation Advisors. They can help. 630-923-5371. That's 630-923-5371. You can also find them at yourfairtax.com or visit 560theanswer.com and look for the Corporate Valuation Advisors banner.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and John Cass in for Amy J. this morning. And coming up at 7:37, we'll talk to Heritage Foundation Chief Economist Stephen Moore about where we go on Obamacare. Yes, but what about that other big item, where we go on tax reform? Now we check the headlines with Dave Stewart.
Thank you, Dan. It's 75 degrees in Chicago, 7:31 on AM 560 The Answer. From the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom, Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. The White House confirming President Trump did have a second meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin during the G20 summit. Ian Bremmer, the president of a consulting firm called Eurasia Group, first brought that meeting to light.
Did they talk about sanctions? Did they talk about the hacks? Did he push them? Did they not? Ukraine, all of that? Well, I mean, none of that really matters if they then had an hour one-on-one at the dinner with only the Russian translator. We have no idea what was in that conversation.
The previously undisclosed meeting happened during a dinner of world leaders earlier this month in Hamburg, Germany. The Senate will take a procedural vote next week on whether to repeal Obamacare. Republicans appear to be short of the votes needed to pass that proposal. Here in Chicago, an investigation is underway after an elderly man was shot and killed on the south side. Police say the 69-year-old victim gunned down last night while walking in the 7100 block of South State Street. Authorities believe he was killed by a stray bullet. Cook County Sheriff Tom Darts began layoffs tied to the stalling of the sweetened drink tax. He's suspending a current class of deputy recruits, a class that was soon to start, furloughing some court bailiffs and cutting some unfilled positions. It's a total of 110 jobs in all. And a priest from the back of the yards is asking to be released from the priesthood as part of the settlement of a sexual abuse case. Father Bruce Wellams, formerly of Holy Cross Immaculate Heart of Mary Church, admits that when he was 15, he abused a boy who was 7 at the time. U.S. climate experts say last month was the world's third hottest June ever recorded. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says only June of 2015 and June of 2016 were hotter. In sports, on the field, the Dodgers beat the Sox 1-0 yesterday. The Sox host the Dodgers again today. The Cubs beat the Braves 5-1. The Cubs are in Atlanta late this morning. The Sky beat Seattle, the Storm, 94-83. The news is service of Jewel Osco. Shop Jewel Osco for gallons of Lucerne milk, just $1.99, limit 2. USDA Choice New York strip steak, any size package, only $7.99 a pound, limit 4 steaks. And Northwest Washington cherries, just $1.77 a pound. AM 560 News Time 7:33. Traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Right now with Galaxy. Buy one cabinet, get one free. Visit us online at GalaxyHome.com to schedule your free in-home estimate. Save an additional $500 when you book right now.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. One of the best things I ever did in my life was buy 2 huge Liberty safes. Now, I love the peace of mind that these safes give me, especially when I'm at work or on vacation. But what made the experience so great is the incredible service you get, and I got from my local Liberty Safe dealer. These guys are amazing. There's so much to like about Liberty Safe, so do what I did. You need a safe. Buy a Liberty Safe today and protect all your valuables, important papers, and, of course, your firearms like never before.
Thanks, Sean. I'm Bert with Second Amendment Sports, here announcing the biggest and best Liberty Safe sale in Chicagoland. It's the Second Amendment Sports Liberty Safe Tent Event, July 29th and 30th. 2 days only for the lowest pricing of the year, 0% financing, and immediate delivery of our huge selection of in-stock safes. Doors open at 9, so get in early. The Second Amendment Sports Liberty Safe Tent Sale in downtown McHenry on Route 120 and 31. Second Amendment Sports. Safety, recreation, protection.
All Nissans are created equal. It's Nissan of St. Charles that makes the difference.
At Nissan of St. Charles, we go the extra mile to make sure your happiness lasts as long as you own your vehicle. Every new Nissan or used vehicle we sell comes with our exclusive Lifetime Advantage warranty. So when you get your new Nissan at Nissan of St. Charles, you'll drive with peace of mind knowing it's backed by our exclusive warranty that lasts the lifetime of your vehicle. And be sure to ask about our Lifetime Tire program. Where else can you get a great deal on a new Nissan, a Lifetime Advantage warranty, and a Lifetime Tire program? The little things make all the difference. While all Nissans may be created equal, the difference is clearly Nissan of St. Charles. Located on North Avenue in the heart of St. Charles. Or visit us online at nissanofstcharles.com. That's nissanofstcharles.com. Nissan of St. Charles. Experience the difference.
At 7:36 from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Al Verdi.
Thanks, Dave. On the Tri-State southbound, things are still jammed up between Route 132 and 137, but an earlier vehicle fire that was the cause of those problems, that has been put out. On the Edens inbound, we're looking at 23 from Lake Cook to the Kennedy Junction. Heavy outbound, it's 31 to Lake Cook. Kennedy in is 43, O'Hare to downtown, 46 back out to the airport. Eisenhower in and hour 3, Thorndale to the post office, and 52 on the return trip. Stevenson is an hour 10 from 355 inbound. Traffic is stopped from the Ryan into Lakeshore Drive. The outbound, that's heavy too, 56 minutes. Dan Ryan 29 in from 95th to downtown. Traffic and service of LL Bean at LL Bean. Every school year is a new adventure. And now you can get 20% off book packs, kids' clothing, and more of the stuff every student needs. Visit LL Bean in Chicago today. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Al Verdi on AM 560, The Answer.
And now the forecast. A service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Today, partly sunny with a thunderstorm and some poor air quality because of high ozone, a high of 83. Mostly cloudy and humid tonight, a heavy thunderstorm late, a low of 70. Cloudy tomorrow, strong thunderstorms, some of them with floods and damaging winds, a high tomorrow 89. Right now, 75 at O'Hare. Next news, 8 o'clock. Now more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour radio show, Saturday afternoons at 3 on AM 560, The Answer. Brought to you by Pearshell Financial Group.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and John Cash, Chicago Tribune columnist, in for Amy J. this morning. And John, I understand it from regularly reading your most excellent work. You're a bit of a Game of Thrones fan.
Just a bit.
Let me ask you.
I hate talkers. Talkers make me thirsty.
That's why you didn't get a
part.
part.
My Sandor Clegane.
Yeah.
I hate talkers.
Let me play a little clip from the season premiere. No spoiler alert here, but this is Jaime Lannister. You may know him as the Kingslayer. King's Landing.
One-handed.
Yeah, right. The Captain Hook of the Lannister family.
The brother with benefits.
Yes, indeed. Talking to his sister, Cersei, about Lovejoy and the Armada coming over to ally with them as they play for the throne, the Iron Throne. Listen to Jaime Lannister describing the Lovejoys and see if this reminds you of any individual or group of individuals.
They're not good at anything. They're bitter, angry little people. All they know how to do is steal things they can't build or grow themselves.
Remind you of anybody?
You go ahead, Dan. This is your show.
Well, Chicago Democrat Pauls. Angry little people. So the little thing made me think of the Shetland Democrats that lord over this state.
Coming on their boats to reeve and destroy and take.
But right,
take what they wish.
The second piece of it,
they pay the iron price.
The second piece of it, they steal everything they can't grow or make themselves. That reminds me of both Chicago Democrat Pauls, of course, but also Madigan Republicans in Illinois and Obamacare Republicans at the federal level. That has wide application, that second part of it, stealing what you can't make or grow.
I have to take the side of the people of the drowned God, because at least they go out and take their crappy swords and do it themselves. Whereas the classes you're talking about are more like the people of the courtiers of Versailles after Madame Guillotine starts falling, and they're portly and panicky, and they have the waistcoats and breeches and their little pantaloons, and they're freaking out because the people finally decided to cut their damn heads off. And that's where I think they are, because at least in Game of Thrones, you use your own sword, right?
Indeed.
You want something, you take it. These people use government to take it.
As the sword or the shield, depending on their passing interests. For more on this and additional Game of Thrones metaphors, perhaps, we're pleased to be joined by our friend Steve Moore, Wall Street Journal columnist, Heritage Foundation chief economist, and senior economist for CNN. Steve, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hi, Dan. Hi, John.
Hey, Steve.
Why don't we do this in reverse? What happens to tax reform, or perhaps better posed, how does it proceed from here before we get to the future of Obamacare, since it's going to be part of our future for some time, it appears?
Well, I actually don't agree with that. I think
Really?
I think they are going to get this done. They're doing it the hard way. It's been excruciating to watch. I've always said there's a stupid party and an evil party, and I'm a member of the stupid party. And they've made this much more difficult than it has to be. What I would do at this stage, and, you guys can be my two-person focus group on this. I'm going over to the White House today to talk about this, is what is Plan B now? And what I would do if I were the White House and the Republicans in Congress, I would drop the Medicaid reforms. So I would save those reforms for another day. So, 18 million people aren't going to lose their coverage. I think that's been the big problem. Those headlines that 18, 20 million people are going to lose their coverage. No. The president said nobody's going to lose their coverage, and then just concentrate on restoring the insurance market. And you know what I would do? I would basically say, if you want Obamacare, you can keep it. If you want your Obamacare plan and, you want to be in the exchanges and so on, you can keep your Obamacare plan with all the 28 mandated benefits and so on. But give everyone what I call an off-ramp. And let people, if they don't want Obamacare, choose any plan that they want to.
But if you do that, Steve, if this is Obamacare by a different name, you're not going to get the cost savings. You're not going to get the entrance back into the market. You're not going to see improved care. You're not going to see better choice. So what's the point?
Well, I don't get your point. No, what I think would happen if you give people this off ramp is tens of millions of people would opt out of Obamacare. Right? They would choose a much lower cost plan. They would choose health savings accounts, high deductible plan that with the low premium that protects them against a catastrophic health event. And then what would happen, and the liberals understand this, give people choice. Everybody's going to opt out of Obamacare, and they're right. The Obamacare market will self-destruct, and you will have a true insurance market. And that's what we need in this country. This is America. Everybody should be able to choose their own plan. And under that, what I'm suggesting, guys, and I do want your thoughts about this, is that Republicans ultimately will be judged in their health care reform on whether they are actually reducing the cost of premiums.
Yes.
People can't afford it. If you do this, you could buy, we were running some of the numbers. People could reduce their premiums almost overnight by 30%.
Steve, you're cutting out on us. Steve?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Is he walking through the executive office building right now on the way to the White House?
Say again?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, Steve. You're talking about you're running the numbers.
Yeah, that people reduce their premiums by 30 to 40%. The vast majority of people. Now, it is true that people are sicker and people with pre-existing conditions would have to pay more, and you could provide a subsidy for those folks. What I'm suggesting is restore the integrity of an insurance market. And liberals believe everybody has to buy the exact same plan. Everybody has to insure everybody else. And what I'm saying is no. All I care about, you're going to say I'm hard-hearted, I want an insurance plan that I can afford. And live a fairly healthy lifestyle. Why should we have to pay more for overweight, or people who don't exercise, or people who smoke or drink or things like that? I just think that would be very popular with people, and I don't understand how Democrats could argue against choice.
So how do you get the votes for that, and what's the process?
Well, that's a good question.
I mean,
John.
Is Rand Paul going to lead this, or Susan Collins, or how about that senator from Nevada that Hugh Hewitt seems to love? Who's going to lead it?
I don't actually. That's a good question. It should come from the White House. I think Trump has to take the leadership here because the Republicans in Congress have screwed it up. But what you do with the plan I'm suggesting is now the Democrat talking point about 20 million people losing their insurance is taken away. Now Democrats have to argue why a family of four that has a middle income of $50,000, $60,000 shouldn't be able to purchase a plan of their choice and that protects them as tailored. For their individual family needs, because this is really what it comes to. Now, they'll say, oh, my gosh, well, sick people are going to pay more, and, the young people are, you're going to death spiral. My response to that, guys, is there already is a death spiral in Obamacare. Young people, young people and healthy people are dropping out of the market, and sick people are signing up on the way to the hospital. It's a completely contaminated and perverted insurance market. So that's what I would do. I would give people choice, and I would create competition by allowing people to buy insurance across state lines. And those two things alone could solve a big part of the problem. Now, they're not going to solve all the problem. They'll solve a big part of it.
What about the individual mandate? Should that stay or go?
Oh, you got to get rid of that. The government should never require anybody to buy insurance. This is interesting. I mentioned this before on the show, but I want to say it again because it's so important. When people say 20 million, when these CBO says 20 million people are going to lose their insurance, 10 million of those people are people, they're not going to, quote, lose their insurance. They're going to choose not to buy the insurance because the government's no longer, Dan, going to put a gun to their head and say, if you don't buy insurance, we're going to shoot you. I mean, I'm saying that figuratively. The only reason that Obamacare can sign people up right now is it's forcing people to buy insurance they don't want and they can't afford.
And so Holman Jenkins argues in the Wall Street Journal, one of your colleagues over there, that what you're talking about is sort of inherently conflictual. He says Americans don't want an individual mandate. They do want coverage of pre-existing conditions. There's a term for a system which you're covered if you're sick, but you don't need to buy coverage, and the government promises to make it affordable. It's called single payer.
Well, see, this is, that's a great point, Dan. What Republicans have to make it very clear to American people that we have now reached crossroads. Obamacare is in a complete state of collapse. It can't go forward. This idea, liberals keep saying, I was on CNN last night, it just needs a few little fixes and little tweaks. No, it doesn't. The whole system is in collapse. You got millions and millions of people every year who are dropping out, and you got millions and millions of people paying, more for, the insurance premiums have doubled. It's not working. Now, the two options are this, Dan. Either we move towards a free market system where people have individual choice, or the other alternative, at least Bernie Sanders is the one honest liberal out there, you have to have a single-payer system like Canada does and Britain does, and that would, basically a VA system for everybody where people die in the hospital.
So Trump's position, President Trump's position that let Obamacare fail and Democrats will come running to us, you disagree with that?
What about you, Dan? Do you think there's any plausibility to that?
No.
Of course not. They're going to blame it on Trump. I mean, this is the problem. Republicans own the healthcare issue now. Now, the Democrats they're very good at spinning things, right? They're spinning the collapse of Obamacare. You know who they're blaming for this? Trump. As if somehow Trump created this morass, when in fact the insurance market was already collapsing 2 years before he even announced he was running for president. But I think giving people more options, giving them more choice, having more competition, and telling 90% of Americans you're going to get what I suggest in my column this week is Republicans should run a TV ads like those Geico ads with the Republican plan saying, hey, I just saved $4,000 on my health insurance.
Yes.
And I have competition.
See if we can repurpose that gecko. Here's the.
If you could get Susan Collins to narrate it, and I'll watch.
Yeah, sure. That's right. So now talk about tax reform, though. With the timeline we're on and the promise by Kevin Brady, House Ways and Means Chairman, and Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, that tax reform, meaning reduction, is going to get done this year. Do those things need to run concurrently? How does that go?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know the answer. I do know this, that they're not going to get comprehensive tax reform done this year. It just isn't going to happen. The clock, there just aren't enough days on the calendar at this point, because now it looks like the next 2 or 3 weeks are going to be, subsumed with this healthcare debate. So, Larry Kudlow and I and Laffer and Steve Forbes are recommending just do the business tax cut, get the business taxes down, do the repatriation, bring that, foreign capital back to the United States, and maybe do something for individuals like double the standard deduction. And just do that. And that's your plan. And it's a tax cut. It's not a revenue neutral. We get rid of this revenue neutral issue. There's no border tax or anything like that. It's a $2 or $3 trillion tax cut over the next 10 years, and that will supercharge the economy. Because, look, ultimately, in 2018, Republicans will be judged on whether they got jobs back and whether they grew the economy and whether they got rid of Obamacare. Those are the things they have to do. So I think Paul Ryan and the guys on the Ways and Means Committee are going to have to, maybe not quite be so ambitious. One of the lessons of this healthcare fiasco is do what you can do. Don't have this grandiose vision that you're going to completely recreate the whole healthcare market or the whole tax system. Do what's needed now to get jobs and growth back, and that's cutting the business taxes, doing the repatriation, bring $1 trillion back to the United States, and the economy will grow. That will be like, antibiotic steroids into the butt of the economy.
Okay. On that simile, we'll say goodbye to Steve Moore. He's the Heritage Foundation Chief Economist, CNN Senior Economist. Steve, thanks for joining us as always.
All right,
appreciate it.
Guys. Have a great week. Bye.
Thank you. You too.
Winter is here, Steve.
Winter is here indeed, and he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
All right, I know you're bombarded with MyPillow ads everywhere you turn, not only from me, but on TV, billboards, and in print. But the reason is simple. It's the best pillow available. You deserve a restful and relaxing summer, and the July radio deal using my name, Amy, in the promo code is the best deal available. It's the 50% discount on a MyPillow 4-pack, including 2 premium MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows for half the price. You can move the fill to give you the exact support you need regardless of sleep position. You'll sleep deep and won't wake up to a stiff neck or headache. And our good friend Mike Lindell manufactures them in America using only American labor. You can wash and dry them. They're hypoallergenic, and you get a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. So get your 50% off the 4-pack by calling 800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy, or visit MyPillow.com. That's 800-489-0201, promo code Amy.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
It takes a lot of courage to face your own death, but I'm glad I finally did. See, I was putting off getting life insurance to protect my family, even though I knew it was important. Then my neighbor's husband died. I watched her struggle emotionally and financially. It really made me face reality. If my husband died, how would I pay the mortgage, the car payments, or keep up the life the kids and I had? I realized I needed to get us life insurance right away. So I called AIG Direct. In less than 5 minutes, I had a quote. I was shocked at how affordable it is. Just $14 a month for $250,000 of term life coverage. I feel so much better knowing my family has protection.
Call AIG Direct right now for a free no-obligation quote. The call takes less than 5 minutes, and you can save up to 70%. Call now, 1-800-900-1904. That's 1-800-900-1904. 1-800-900-1904.
Folks, when shopping for a home mortgage, how much is great service, low closing costs, and competitive interest rates worth to you? At Townstone Financial, it's priceless. Hi, Barry Sterner, founder of Townstone Financial. Let's hear about the Townstone experience from a VA client.
I do have a very close personal friend. Him and his wife were both Army. They did a couple tours. They were denied their VA loan at the 11th hour. They got the carpet pulled from underneath them. So, you hear horror stories like that. With you guys going through the VA process, you guys really did most of the legwork. I mean, just a matter of getting my paperwork in order and making sure you guys had the right documents so that you could push it through, make it happen, and get us the keys to our new home.
Remember, nobody values your home mortgage business more than Townstone. I guarantee it, and I own the company. So call me now, Barry Sterner, at 312-896-2110. That's 312-896-2110. Or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financials, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, Illinois, mortgage licensee 6629 and NMLS 136639, equal housing lender.
I have actually been on Balance of Nature for a year now. I have MS, and I recently had an MRI. This is the first year that I've had a stable MRI, so I'm thrilled. When I have an MRI with MS, usually there are glowing spots that come through, which is damage on the nerves in my brain and my spinal cord, and when they're glowing, it means they're active. And then my last MRI, they pulled it up, and I honestly couldn't believe that it was my MRI. There was nothing glowing. And in fact, the dark spots were shrinking. They were healing. And the doctor actually said to me, I think we're in remission. I was so happy. I had no idea that that could be my reality.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you free. Call now for details. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code Chicago.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity, sponsored by Upstream-Ideas.com. Charlie Gard's parents are thinking about their son and trying to save his life. The British government is thinking about its centrally planned healthcare system and trying to save its dominion over the lives of its countrymen. And that's the story of government from time immemorial. The state is forever seeking to intervene between parents and children because family is a bulwark against its power. The London hospital that seeks to put Charlie Gard to death said they don't want, quote, a world where only parents speak and decide for children, unquote. You see, they speak for your child. The commissars at the Orwellian acronymed National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, NICE, will tell you when it's time for him to die with dignity. And there's nothing nice about the way they shall impose their will. The state versus Charlie Gard is a reminder to Americans about the nature of government-run healthcare, yes. More importantly, it's a lesson about the nature of government generally. This is what George Washington meant when he described government as a dangerous servant and a fearful master. Consider this when politicians offer to improve your life with government in either role. Consider Charlie Gard's life.
Building owners, are you experiencing problems with your flat roof? Do you know where you're at in the life cycle of your roof? Install, repair, renew, or replace. One of the largest investments you will make to protect your building and its contents is the roof system on your building. So trust that investment to a proven industry leader. Trust it to Waukegan Roofing. Waukegan Roofing is a commercial and industrial low-slope roofing contractor installing roofs you can rely on since 1914. We install, service, and maintain all types of commercial and industrial low-slope roof systems for the Chicago area. We've installed millions of square feet of quality roofing systems, protecting buildings and their valuable contents for more than 100 years. So wherever you are in the life cycle of your roof, Waukegan Roofing is prepared to help you manage each stage with professional service and technical expertise. Call us today to schedule an appointment at 877-ROOF-201. That's 877-ROOF-201. Or visit us online at waukeganroofing.com. Waukegan Roofing, installing roofs you can rely on since 1914.
Illinois licensee 104000761.
If you run your own business, when you're not on the job, you're on the road. In your van. Signs that say detour and do not enter are just plain bad for business. Well, here's a sign that's great for business. It says 0% financing and up to 2 years complimentary scheduled maintenance on Mercedes-Benz Sprinter or Metris vans. Powerful, capable, and affordable. That's Mercedes-Benz Van Power. With pioneering safety technologies and low total cost of ownership, Mercedes-Benz vans are the right choice for your business. Check out the full lineup of Mercedes-Benz vans starting at just $25,995. 0% financing and up to 2 years complimentary scheduled maintenance. That's van power for all. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Starting ad price refers to base model mattress, worker cargo van. Excludes all options, taxes, title registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep fee. Please see your dealer or go to mvvans.com for further details and exclusions.
Are you stuck in a bad home mortgage? Well, join the club that has about 10 million other American families. But I may be able to help you. My name is Lou Bridges. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Lou Bridges & Associates. We've been helping distressed homeowners like you for over 8 years now. Give us a call. We provide free consultations. I guarantee you it will not be a sales pitch. We will give you our honest legal analysis, counsel, recommendations, and advice regarding your options.
We are experts in doing loan modifications successfully. We know the regs. We understand the process. Most importantly, we don't take no for an answer. We fight. We are prepared, and we win. We save houses. We make houses affordable. So if you want to keep your house affordable, contact us.
Go to bridgeslaw.net or call 224-513-1231. That's 224-513-1231.
Remember, people, never give up the land. Fight for truth and justice. You do that, I guarantee you'll never be alone in this country.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.
They must keep their promise to America. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump has tweeted that about Republican senators, and he adds their health care bill will get even better at lunchtime today as he dines with them all at the White House. The current plan is just to repeal Obamacare, though 4 GOP senators already say they are a no. Jerry Moran is for it, but his opposition killed the last plan to replace Obamacare.
It begins to shift to not what is in the bill, but how to win a senator's vote. And that generally involves money. That's not a good way for us to develop health care policy.
Democrats are urging Republicans to work with them. Cory Booker says it's sinister to just let Obamacare fail. President Trump's upset over the reporting of a second discussion he had with Russian President Putin at the G20 summit in Germany. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
It reportedly lasted as long as an hour and relied solely on a Kremlin-provided interpreter. A White House official said there was nothing unusual about it, and in 2 tweets, President Trump derided news reports about it as sick. He said the dinner was not a secret since all of the world leaders at the summit meeting and their spouses had been invited by German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Press knew, he tweeted. The White House, which called the discussion brief, only confirmed it after reports some of the guests had been surprised it occurred. Dave?
John, the Postal Service may get a sternly worded letter over what it's accused of doing to help Hillary Clinton. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, a report from the Office of Special Counsel shows the U.S. Postal Service allowed unionized workers to go on leave without pay in 2016 to work for Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign and other Democratic candidates. So many workers took leave, the Postal Service incurred substantial overtime costs. The Office of Special Counsel says USPS engaged in systemic violations of the Hatch Act, which limits political activities of federal employees. Dave?
Rachel, in Georgia, police have charged a mom with murder after they say she left her 1-year-old daughter in a hot car while she was getting her hair done at a salon last month. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Good morning, 75 degrees in Chicago at 8:02 on AM 560, The Answer. I'm David Stewart from the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. A partly sunny day on tap with a possible thunderstorm and a high of 83. A Chicago woman is demanding answers after her son died in a downstate prison. Michael Jefferson's mother, Janelle Charles, says her son suffered injuries that show he was beaten to death. Jefferson passed away last week after he was found unresponsive in his cell at the Menard Correctional Center. Relief could be on the way for people affected by flooding in the northern suburbs. The Fox River and the Chain of Lakes crested yesterday. They are slowly receding, but there's some concern about rain expected to fall in the coming days. Cook County Assessor Joseph Barrios is facing scrutiny over the way his office determines property values. Board President Tony Preckwinkle plans an outside review of the assessment system. Dennis Hastert's out of federal prison after serving time for bank fraud. The former U.S. House Speaker has been transferred to a Chicago reentry facility, has about 6 weeks left on his 15-month sentence for lying about the money used to hide his past sexual abuse of teenage boys in the 1970s. Amazon's bringing another facility to the Chicago area. The e-commerce company is confirming it's opening a shipping center this October in Crest Hill. That facility will create hundreds of new jobs. In sports, the White Sox trade infielder Todd Frazier and pitchers David Robertson and Tommy Kahnle to the Yankees for some prospects. On the field, the Dodgers beat the White Sox 1-0. The Sox host the Dodgers again today. Cubs, they're still rolling, beating the Braves 5-1. The Cubs are in Atlanta late this morning. News, a service of Little Caesars, home of the large $5 hot and ready pepperoni pizza. Little Caesars, home of the large hot and ready pizzas like the classic pepperoni for $5 and the deep dish pepperoni for $8. And don't forget the crazy bread. All this and more at Little Caesars, plus tax at participating locations. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, sponsored by Turnkey.pro. And from the Fox Business Network, here's Ginny Cosola.
From the Fox Business Network, Morgan Stanley shares are higher after better-than-expected earnings. The company says despite a subdued trading environment, it saw gains in other businesses. Samsung's voice-activated virtual assistant Bixby is launching today. It's the company's answer to Apple's Siri. The English-language version of Bixby wasn't ready for Samsung's new Galaxy S8 phone launch in April. Samsung's promising that almost anything users can do by touching or typing can now be accomplished with a voice command. Bixby has already been available for months in Samsung's home market, South Korea. Shareholders of British American Tobacco and Reynolds American vote today on whether to merge the two companies. If approved, the deal could become effective next week. The Dow was down almost 55 yesterday. NASDAQ gained 29, S&P up a point. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
AM 560 News time is 8:05. Traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
According to the forecast, it's going to be a long, hot summer. Russian collusion, James Comey,
obstruction of justice, impeachment, White House leaks, Jeff Sessions, climate change, Islamic terrorism, Vladimir Putin.
Join AM 560's Joe Walsh for a very special event on Tuesday, August 22nd. It's the Summer of Trump, live at the Bolingbrook Golf Club, hosted by Joe Walsh and featuring Hugh Hewitt and Guy Benson. Tickets are available now at 560theanswer.com/summer. That's 560theanswer.com/summer.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, can I still take advantage of today's low rates? Is it still a good time to refinance? The answer is yes. Now's a great time to call Quicken Loans at 800-QUICKEN. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.99%, APR 4.19%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Do you think identity theft is only when someone adds charges to your credit card? It's actually when someone pretends to be you to open new accounts in your name or any number of bad things. LifeLock can help. We use proprietary technology to alert you to a huge range of identity threats. And if you have a problem, we have a team of U.S.-based specialists who will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. Membership starts at $9.99 a month, plus applicable taxes. Go to LifeLock.com and use promo code NEWS to get 10% off.
At 8:07 from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Al Verdi.
Thank you, Dave. On the Edens, inbound, just a little slowdown from Elston to Montrose. Only 21 in from Lake Cook, but 33 back out there. It's heavy Elston to Church. And from Glenview to right around Willow Road. The Kennedy inbound a full hour from O'Hare to downtown, basically heavy the whole way. Not much better. Back out to O'Hare, 50 minutes. Eisenhower in is an hour 10 from Thorndale to the post office. Almost a full hour back out to Thorndale. Stevenson's an hour 14 into Lakeshore Drive and 44 back out to 355. Dan Ryan, 31 minutes from 95th into downtown. Outbound, still no delays at all. 57 in heavy from 107th to the Ryan. Bishop Fort from 111th to the Ryan in. There, it's 25 minutes in from 8094. Southbound Lakeshore Drive slows between Belmont and North Avenue. Again from 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound backs up between Roosevelt and Jackson. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Al Verdi on AM 560, The Answer.
And now the forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. And here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Clouds and sun today with a shower or thunderstorm around, high 83. Then a shower or heavy thunderstorm in the area late tonight, low 70. Clouds and sun with a couple of thunderstorms around mainly early tomorrow when they could be strong, high 89. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Lakefront now 77 degrees, 78 at Midway, 77 at O'Hare. Next news, 8:30, continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Empowered Investing, the show dedicated to investors. Heard Saturdays at noon right here on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning is the equally lovely and talented and leggy John Cass, Chicago Tribune columnist. John.
Yeah, leggy. That's what people call it.
Well, that's how you're known in the industry. And we've talked on this show a lot about K-12 funding in Illinois, trying to help distill it because the way it's funded is somewhat complicated and somewhat counterintuitive and turns out to be awfully expensive if you own property in this state. And now that we've had the 15 surrender Republicans in the House vote for Madigan's tax increases, underlying borrowing, no spending reforms, we're moving on to K-12 funding and seeing Chicago Democrats in charge of the General Assembly play the similar game with school funding that they played with the state budget writ large. And so is it possible to simply synthesize this? We talked to State Representative Mark Batnick from Plainfield yesterday and provided a little bit of context to it. But it seems to me that this fight is relatively straightforward, at least at the top line, which is you have Chicago Democrats in charge of the General Assembly, once again attempting to raid suburban school districts to repurpose your property tax repurpose, your general state aid from suburban school districts to bail out Chicago, continue the blank check for Chicago, and to try and buy off some downstate support with some of the money as well. That seems to me essentially what Chicago Democrats are doing because that's what Madigan has done for 4 decades, so why would he stop now? But for more on this, we should probably talk to the man who actually has the veto pen. He is Governor Bruce Rauner, and Governor Rauner joins us now. Governor, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan, John, good morning. How you guys doing?
Hey, Governor.
Good morning. So you heard my distillation of the issue in 1 or 2 sentences. Is that a fair representation, or how do you view it?
Well, I think you summarized it very well. You know, Speaker Madigan is very experienced in the tactics of extortion, legislative extortion, pressuring members of the General Assembly, creating crises, and forcing bad policy, forcing tax increases, forcing deficit spending, forcing damage to the state of Illinois, forcing bad regulations on businesses, et cetera. And he does that through leveraging crises and extortion. He did that in the budget. We all saw it here at the end of June, and what they did to the taxpayers of Illinois over the 4th of July weekend was outrageous. Madigan basically used our universities and community colleges as hostages for the last 2 years. He wouldn't pass a budget. They were held up. They were suffering. He hurt our human service agencies that provide services to our most vulnerable that are important. He damaged our government operations, all to create pressure, all to create a crisis, to force a massive permanent tax hike with no reforms, no fixing our problems. And in the end, the budget is still not balanced. They still didn't cut wasteful spending. They still are not paying down debt. Nothing's better, but Madigan got the tax hike he wanted, and he forced legislators to go along. He's trying to do exactly the same thing now. The General Assembly passed a school funding bill 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks ago, they passed a school funding bill. They have not sent that bill to my desk. Why haven't they sent it to my desk? Madigan wants to wait until August. So the schools are screaming. They're desperate for their money. They want to get open. Children need to go to school and get educated, and Madigan will hold it till the very end, and then he'll say, this is the only school funding available. Governor, sign it, and legislators go along with him or override him if he vetoes it. But otherwise, your schools won't open, and I will hold them hostage until this plan gets done. And he inserted a poison pill that's terrible for taxpayers in the school funding plan. He inserted a bailout for Chicago's pensions, which have been mismanaged for decades. They have not properly funded for decades. They have been improperly structured for decades. And he wants to force taxpayers around the state of Illinois to take the money that should go to their schools, that should go to the teachers in the suburbs and the children in the suburbs and downstate, and force that money, rather than going in the classroom, to go to Chicago pensions.
So
that's what's happening.
That's the big difference, is the $215 million that you're referring to, that they want to funnel to Chicago to make a pension payment to, again, try and push off the inevitable for 1 or 2 days longer. You want to put in through the school funding formula to distribute to schools around the state. Is that the crux of it?
That's exactly right. The money should go to the teachers in the classroom. Their money should not be diverted into pension payments for Chicago. And, Dan, let me give you a few numbers so you can understand the magnitude of what we're dealing with here. So for Aurora East in the far west suburbs, this diversion by Madigan is going to take $4 million per year away from Aurora East and funnel it to Chicago pensions. $4 million for Aurora. His diversion of money from schools is going to take $3 million per year away from Joliet School District and funnel it to Chicago pensions. He's going to take almost $500,000 away from Harvey on the south suburbs. Struggling community, a lot of low-income families that deserve great educational opportunities for their kids. $500,000 a year is going to be taken away from them in Harvey and siphoned off, sent up to Chicago pensions. Waukegan, a lot of struggling families that deserve our support. They need a great education for their children. Waukegan, more than $4 million per year taken away from them and siphoned to Chicago pensions by Speaker Madigan's proposal. Rita Mayfield up there should stand against this. And that the story is true again and again around the state. Millions of dollars in local school districts, money that should go to them, is going to be taken away from them and sent to Chicago. And that's why I've been clear. I will amendatory veto Madigan's bill, take out the pension payment shenanigans. That should be dealt with separately. Pension reform should be its own issue, and we should fix the pensions and help Chicago fix their pensions, and I will do that. But the Chicago pension issue should not be tried to fix by taking money away from schools around the state. That is not fair, and we can't let that happen.
If this comes to a crisis point, as you say, Madigan will do, I ask you, what are you going to do about those 15 Republicans who sided with him to raise the income tax without reform? What are you going to do as the de facto chairman of the Republican Party, as well as the governor, in their own primaries?
Well, here, John, what we've got 3 weeks or so until schools have got to open, have got to get their money. We've got 3 weeks to focus, and we've got to let all of your listeners know and let all the people of Illinois know our schools must open on time with fair funding for our teachers and our kids. We've got to put our kids first. Our children should be our top priority. Nothing more important than our children.
What about
our schools should open on time. And, John, what we've got to do is make sure everybody knows, whether they are a Democrat or Republican, it doesn't matter. They need to reach out to their legislator and say, don't support Madigan's Senate Bill 1, SB 1. That's Madigan's manipulation. Don't support it. Have Madigan send it to the governor's desk right now so that the governor can veto, a mandatory veto that bill, change it, and support the governor's mandatory.
I got it, Governor, but I ask you again with respect. What are you going to do about the 15 Republicans who sided with Madigan and basically, and then the 10 that played a game and overrode your veto to increase taxes by 32%? Because while you're talking about this as a school issue, as a suburban taxpayer, I also look at it as a taxpayer issue, because the suburban taxpayers are going to end up paying. So what are you going to do? Right. What are you going to do about those legislators who basically cut and run and made a deal with, got made by Mike?
You're right. It's absolutely a tax issue, and the massive, unfair, outrageous tax hike Madigan forced is directly tied to this unfair, ridiculous pension bailout. They're all tied. But, John, you know what? We have to focus right now on one thing, getting the schools open on time with fair funding. And the way to do that is for all of us to get the message to the people of Illinois. Contact your legislator, whether they're a Democrat or a Republican, and tell them, get that education funding bill right now to the governor's desk today. Don't wait until August. Don't wait to force a crisis. And the governor's going to mandatory veto it fix it, and then the schools will get the money they deserve. And the pressure's got to come now. We can't wait. We can't talk about other topics. We've got to focus like a laser, get the bill to my desk. I will fix it, and then they need to support my fix, and then it'll be fair for everybody.
Well, that last part, support your fix. Are you concerned if Madigan moves to override again, as he did with the budget, that you will have enough of those same Republicans who revolted to Madigan's camp do so again?
Well, I'm always concerned. You know, Madigan has been in power for 35 years, and he has used his extortion and his threats and his intimidation and his various ways of buying votes in the General Assembly through various, techniques he uses to get bad votes taken. That's why all of us need to call on every legislator, everyone, Democrats and Republicans both, do not support SB 1. Get that bill. That bill has already passed, but it didn't pass with a veto-proof majority. It did not pass on a veto-proof majority. But get that bill to my desk today. Don't wait. Don't let the crisis be built by Madigan to give him leverage. Get that bill to my desk today. I will fix that bill, and then stand with me. Do not override my veto, and then everybody in the state will be better off, including Chicago, because Chicago gets more money in the classroom under our fix, and we can also separately, at the appropriate time, help deal with pensions that will help Chicago, but also help pensions all around the state. Pensions are their own subject. They should not be the issue that blocks fair school funding and gets the schools open on time. Those are separate issues.
The last thing I'm going to do is argue for Rahm Emanuel, your old buddy, who's now probably in Italy getting shoes for himself or a suit. But don't they
visiting
have a point?
Geppetto.
What, Geppetto?
Yeah.
Right.
Someday he'll grow up to be a real boy too.
But in the meantime, you have their argument is the state pays for the pensions for the other school districts. Why shouldn't they be paying more for Chicago?
Fixing the pension system is a good thing to do. I've advocated for pension reform for years. Speaker Madigan has refused to do it. And what we do not do is tie a classroom funding to fixing the pensions. Fixing the pensions is its own separate subject. And we can deal with it in Chicago and around the state. We've got to do that, and I've been pushing that for years. But we can't. What they're proposing is a bailout. Bailout is not fixing the pension system. A bailout is taking money that should go to the classroom in Harvey and Aurora and Decatur and Waukegan and Cicero and Harvey, taking money out of the classroom to bail out a pension. That's not fixing the pension problem. That's putting more pressure on our taxpayers, and it's unfair to our teachers and kids in the classroom. The two should need to be separated, dealt with in the appropriate way. Let's get schools open on time with fair funding. Get that bill to my desk. I will mandatory veto it. I'll fix it, and then we'll deal with pensions separately for Chicago and the rest of the state and fix those as well, that in a way that's good for taxpayers.
There's an additional component on the K through 12, and since you're focused on particularly families that are, middle income, we're talking about communities that are disproportionately minority, many low income families as well, kids on free and reduced school lunch and the like that need the resources. There's another piece of this too, and that's a tax credit that's been proposed, and that's actually received bipartisan support that would allow for voluntary contributions to scholarship funds that would provide scholarships to a lot of those families and those kids in the communities you're mentioning. Is that something that is going to be a must-have in terms of what you want out of this school funding proposal?
Well, that's certainly a concept that I support, and I've supported for years. But again, Dan, we've got to focus. There's a lot of subjects, a lot of things we can improve, a lot of pension reform needs to happen. Those are all important topics. We'll deal with them at the appropriate time. What we've got to do is focus like a laser. We got 3 weeks. Do not let Madigan create a crisis for a bailout that fixes nothing. It just creates more tax problems for the people of Illinois, higher taxes for the people, and doesn't fund our schools fairly. Get the money in the classroom with the teachers and the students. They should be the priority. I will fix that bill, but he's got to get it to my desk. We can't let him create a crisis to force the bad outcome like he did on our budget.
All right. He is Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner. Governor Rauner, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. John, take care.
And you join us on the turnkey.pro answer lines. Take a couple calls real quick. Dave in Algonquin, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Oh, Dan, I agree with you and the governor exactly. I'm a school board member out in the suburbs, and we've been talking about Senate Bill 1 for the last 2 months at our school board meetings. Going, why hasn't it been sent to the governor's office? And the only reason that it hasn't been sent is exactly what the governor and you have been talking about. They want to set up a crisis, and I'm glad that someone's actually talking about it in clear terms so that people of Illinois understand what's going on. Thank you.
Thanks very
much. It's about time we start telling it the way it is.
Yeah, thanks very much, Dave. Appreciate the call.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Yes, the weather, as Governor Rauner sticks relentlessly to his message. Partly sunny with a high of near 80. Showers and thunderstorms likely tonight with a low around 71. And Thursday, partly sunny with a high near 86. And more on traffic right now from my good friend, Al Verdi.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Dan. On the Edens inbound, we're looking at 23 minutes Lake Cook to the Kennedy Junction. Back out to Lake Cook a little heavier. It's 32-minute ride. Kennedy and 52 O'Hare to downtown and 53 back out to the airport. Eisenhower in is slow, and hour 7 Thorndale into the post office. Outbound is 58-minute ride. Stevenson and hour 11 into Lakeshore Drive. Back out to 355, a 44-minute trip. And the Ryans half hour in from 95th to downtown. Outbound still no delays at all. 57 in is heavy from 107th to the Ryan. It's about 27 in from 80. Bishop Ford in slows from 111th to the Ryan. Lakeshore Drive southbound slows Belmont to North Avenue, and again from 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound tightens up from Roosevelt to Jackson. Tri-State southbound still slow from Stern School Road to 137 because of an earlier vehicle fire. I'm Al Verdi in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/work. That's ZipRecruiter.com/work for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/work.
As the head of procurement for my company, I was sweating a big deadline and got tired of calling my printer for updates, only to hear excuses. So I heard about McGrath Printing Custom Apparel and gave them a call. I got A+ service and they beat the deadline. McGrath Printing really saved my...
I'm a supply chain manager for a Fortune 500 company, and we had $50,000 of product waiting for instruction manuals because our printer couldn't deliver on time. One call to McGrath Printing Custom Apparel, and they saved my...
At McGrath Printing Custom Apparel, they've been saving companies for over 35 years. Give them a call at 815-356-5246. That's 815-356-5246. And mention code AM560 and get 20% off your first order. So remember,
go to where the pros go. McGrathPrint.com. McGrathPrint.com.
The performance, conduct, and sustainability of organizations are a direct result of leadership. A leader's impact can be profoundly good or bad. We've experienced the devastating impact of unethical, selfish, and corrupt leaders. We've also experienced the impact of good and caring leaders whose honesty, integrity, and ethical conduct have created great organizations and a legacy of goodwill. Our challenging times require courageous, values-driven leaders to step up to these challenges. My name is Rich Panico. I am the founder and CEO of Integrated Project Management Company, IPM. I am blessed to lead a wonderful family of talented and caring leaders. Join us as we strive to change the world, one project at a time.
Trust IPM, the consulting industry's leader at executing your critical initiatives. For almost 3 decades, IPM has planned and executed projects in the life sciences, healthcare, consumer, and industrial sectors with honesty and integrity. Visit IPMCinc.com. That's IPMCinc.com. Or call Integrated Project Management's Chicago office at 630-789-8600.
You are about to hear from Dr. Douglas Howard.
After 20 years and tens of thousands of success stories, Balance of Nature is still the only pure whole food supplement available. Balance of Nature has served more than 500 million servings of fruits and vegetables. Don't accept imitations, copies, or substitutions. Our success stories are unique to Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. You'll know you have the real thing when you open the bottles and see, smell, and taste real produce.
It is worth every penny I pay because they really have made such a difference in my life. It is making me feel a whole lot better.
Even my doctor thought it was a good product.
Take Dr. Howard's Health Challenge and find out how to get 2 free sets of fruits and veggies. We'll even ship them to you for free. Call now for details.
Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code Chicago.
Acme Home Insurance.
Yes, I'd like to make a claim.
What are you wanting to claim, sir?
My air conditioner broke down.
Sorry, but your home insurance doesn't cover air conditioner breakdowns.
So what do you cover?
Home damage from things like earthquakes, volcanoes, a zombie apocalypse.
A zombie apocalypse? But that'll never happen.
But if it did, you'd be covered, sir.
But not my air conditioner?
I'm afraid not.
But his air conditioner could have been covered with a home warranty from American Home Shield, plus major components of 20 other home systems and appliances, like his electrical system, plumbing, refrigerator, and more. For valuable free information, call 1-800-700-2119. Homeowners insurance can cover what might happen.
Zombies are coming!
But a home warranty helps cover what will happen.
Now the dryer won't work.
Be sure with the Shield. American Home Shield. For valuable free information, call 1-800-700-2119. That's 1-800-700-2119. 1-800-700-2119.
AM 560.
The Answer.
Tweeter suggests that we're a great team, John, and I think we remind him of Khaleesi and Tyrion. Where
you're Khaleesi and I'm the dwarf?
Yeah.
At least I'm not a girl now.
Yeah, well,
I'm not the beautiful blonde anymore.
That's right.
I'm more the short-legged guy.
I'm the queen
You're
of
an amazing
dragons.
individual. Why did I even show up here?
Coming up,
and they wouldn't pay me enough.
Coming up at 8:38 is Donald Trump JFK, except not as bad. Now we check the headlines with Dave Stewart.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, John. 75 degrees in Chicago, 831 on AM 560. The Answer from the Nissan of St. Charles newsroom. Nissan of St. Charles, home of the Lifetime Advantage warranty. After the GOP Obamacare repeal and replace effort failed, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says the Senate will vote next week on a repeal-only bill, but it's not clear at all if there are the votes to pass that. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer wants Republicans to work with Democrats on improving the nation's health care system.
The time has finally come for our Republican colleagues to take us up on our offer of working together to improve the health care system.
Schumer also criticized President Trump for saying it's time to let Obamacare fail. The White House confirming President Trump did have a second meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin during the G20 summit. The previously undisclosed meeting happened during a dinner of world leaders this month in Hamburg, Germany. Governor Rauner says whatever Congress ends up doing with health care reform, what concerns him is the potential impact on the state's Medicaid system, which expanded under Obamacare.
I'm very concerned about it, and I've expressed that these changes could be very damaging. And I've said it publicly, and I've expressed those concerns to various members in Congress, as well as to the administration.
Under the Republican proposals for replacing Obama, or even just a simple repeal, federal support for expanded Medicaid would disappear. The leader of a group of Republicans in the Illinois House tells the Sun-Times he's not decided if he'd vote to override a promised veto of a pending school funding reform bill. Stephen Anderson says he expects a lot of GOP members will vote in accordance with their local school districts and how they would fare financially under the bill. Governor Rauner is vowing to cut a provision from the bill that would provide money for Chicago teacher pensions. In sports, White Sox trading veterans for prospects Infielder Todd Frazier, pitchers David Robertson and Tommy Kingley go to the Yankees for prospects. On the field, it was the Dodgers over the Sox 1-0. The Sox host the Dodgers again today. Cubs over the Braves 5-1. Cubs in Atlanta later this morning. Sky beat Seattle in the WNBA 94-83. The news and service of Dove Men Plus Care. Did you hear that 91% of guys who use Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant recommend it? Dove Men Plus Care user Daniel said that his armpits aren't the worst thing at the gym anymore. Make that locker room a better place and pick up some new Dove Men Plus Care for your gym bag at your local retailer. AM 560 News Time 8:34. Traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Mike Gallagher says work is getting done in Washington, despite what you see from the mainstream media.
An awful lot continues to get done in this Trump White House, day in and day out. Bills are being signed. Legislation is being tackled. Yes, healthcare is going to be tricky. It's going to be tough. But if anybody can do it, it's this guy. You know it, and I know it.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897.
Do you crave work that matters? 20 years ago, Bob Buford's book, Halftime, took business leaders from success to significance in their work. That book started a movement, and the Halftime Institute. Now, from Institute CEO Dean Nawalny comes the next new powerhouse book, Trade Up. Building on Bob's legacy, Trade Up shows marketplace leaders how to not just make money, but make a difference. If the word smoldering discontent describe you, then trade up. Go to halftime.org. That's halftime.org.
3 Doors Down, Us in the Night Tour 2017. 3 Doors Down with special guest Filter, Saturday, July 22nd, Grand Victoria Casino in Elgin. Tickets on sale now at gbctickets.com. 3 Doors Down, part of the Grand Victoria Summer Concert Series. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
At 8:35 from the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center, here's Al Verdi.
Hey, Dave, on the Edens inbound, no more delays. Outbound, it is still tight from Peterson to Tower Road, 32 minutes, Montrose up to Lake Cook. Kennedy in heavy, 52, O'Hare to downtown, and 52 right back out to the airport. Eisenhower inbound is jammed. It's an hour 9 from Thorndale into the post office, an hour 2 back out. And the Stevenson inbound, no joy either, an hour 17 from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, that's just a 40-minute ride. 55 northbound portion, that's heavy from Route 53 to Cass. On the Dan Ryan inbound half hour, 95th to downtown. Cut that time in half to get back down to 95th. No delays there. 57 inbound from 107th to the Ryan. Traffic's backing up. Bishop Ford inbound slows from 111th to the Ryan. Lakeshore Drive southbound from Belmont to North Avenue hits the brakes. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Al Verdi on AM 560, The Answer.
And now your forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Partly sunny, maybe a thunderstorm today, high of 83. Cloudy and humid tonight, a heavy thunderstorm late, and a low of 70. Cloudy tomorrow, strong thunderstorms possible, high 89. Right now, 77 at O'Hare. Next news, 9 o'clock. Now, more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Fly By Night with your host, comedian, and entertainer extraordinaire, Ken Severa. Saturdays at midnight on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, Joe Walsh here. You are watching right now Republican Party completely and utterly afraid to fight for freedom and limited government. We'll talk about it when freedom returns at 5.
Dan and Tyrion, page 2 columnist for the Chicago Tribune, John Tyrion Cass.
Yeah, and Dan, One-Eyed Raven?
Khaleesi.
Yeah, right, Khaleesi. You do look like
Daenerys Targaryen, if you want to be
a blonde in leather pants. That's you, man. When I think of you, that's how
you think of me? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, you should see a psychiatrist about that. Here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
Does President Trump remind you of a previous president, a 20th century president? Any 20th century president remind you of? A lot of people might say
Reagan. No,
yeah, might say Reagan, but you say no.
No, because Reagan was a better politician.
Mm.
Much better.
Neil Ferguson, a noted Harvard historian, has an interesting piece in the Boston Globe. Donald Trump and JFK are more similar than you think. The president is a serial philanderer who is compulsively unfaithful to his wife. He suffers from severe medical problems, which he and his staff are concealing from the press. One of his mistresses, also romantically involved with a notorious gangster. Speaking of organized crime, I understand that his campaign to get elected called on the mafia for assistance. He intends to appoint his brother to the key position of Attorney General. They plan to wiretap human rights activists. In foreign policy, the story is even worse. He's planning an invasion of a hostile country, which is almost certain to fail disastrously. He's established a secret back channel, which he intends to use it in times of crisis to communicate secretly with the Kremlin. Yet he is willing to risk nuclear war, and he has no objection to the assassination of political enemies and coups against allied governments.
Oh, you forgot that he had his pocket picked by the Russian strongman, who basically
Khrushchev, right?
Oh, you're speaking of someone else.
Oh, right.
Take the shoe off, pound it on the table, wake us up.
And so Ferguson, as he goes through some of this, and you can see some of the parallels, and you can dispute some of them, but he essentially concludes, if Kennedy had been a Republican, he would have been treated with the same ferocious animosity that Donald Trump is treated today for acts much less heinous than those of JFK.
You're missing something.
Go ahead.
He doesn't. Trump doesn't have Ben Bradley. Oogling and wanting to be part of the salon with Melania Trump and so forth in Georgetown, and he doesn't have the Bezos post.
No,
Donald
I know.
Trump does not have the Bezos post.
But that's the point, that if Kennedy had been a Republican, but because he's a Democrat, he's been sanctified, Camelot, especially with all of the D.C. press corps Panjan drums that came up during that era, and want to recall him fondly because he was assassinated, and that was a terrible thing. But in terms of the actual substance of his short presidency?
Put Sam Giancana's daughter on. She makes a great sauce. She knows about this stuff. Come on.
And
the girlfriend, Judith Exner. Well, how you doing, Mr. Kennedy? How you doing, President Kennedy?
The thing, though, is even some Republicans remember him fondly because they always, you have so many hackish Republicans always invoking Kennedy as some kind of conservative Democrat because he said a rising tide lifts all boats, and he cut a marginal tax rate.
He didn't like communism.
And he was an anti-communist.
I like that about him, but
the execution of being anti-communist, what isn't exactly Reagan-esque per the Cuban Missile Crisis?
Is it odd that the entire media class idolizes Kennedy and loathes Nixon, who their grandchildren, if there is a republic in 50 years, which I highly doubt, that their great-grandchildren will be reading in terms of his foreign policy books like The Real War and so forth.
Well, I mean, it's just Ferguson's exposing hypocrisy. You're doing it in comparison to Nixon, but the hypocrisy and how Kennedy is memorialized by leftist historians and the D.C. press corps, lionized, all the Kennedys, of course, including Chris, who's running for governor.
I kind of like Chris. He almost ran me over with a bike, but I kind of like him.
But how it would be treated, the same conduct if you put an R next to his name instead of, I mean, it's just it's a kind of a provocative piece, but I like it. I like the historical context. And this,
you like those highbrow with does it have an italic precede?
Well, Neil Ferguson.
In which?
Neil Ferguson, by the way.
Yes, I know.
You know who his wife is. You know who his wife is too. Ayaan Hirsi Ali.
Oh, and someone I've interviewed, and I think you've interviewed her as well.
An intellectual tour de force on the issue of radical Islamic terror.
She makes the point in my column, and I think in your show, that liberals are loath to question Muslims when it comes to treatment of women. It's just very odd.
Right, because it's an ideology. It's not. It is
particularly with gender, genital mutilation.
It's the ideology of identity politics, not substantive politics.
It's the sponge of identity politics sucking up ideas,
exactly.
not releasing them.
That's right. Dave and Racine, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Greetings. I thought that if you were going to compare a 20th century president to Trump, it would be more Harry Truman. Plain spoken. It was back when he came in, it was Harry who, and he seemed out of place, even though he was a longtime senator. But it was just the fact that he came. There's a certain outsiderish quality that Truman had, and the other thing that it was funny is comparing Obama to Kennedy, considering Obama is closer politically to Lee Harvey Oswald than he was to JFK.
Thanks for the call, Dave. And Harry,
I'll leave that one alone.
Harry Truman dropped the mother of all bombs before Trump did in Syria.
I think if you look up Prendergast, then you'll know you'll know more about Truman.
This segues to where we are as a culture and a nation, and Victor Davis Hanson has a even more provocative piece than Neil Ferguson's, The Fifth American War, in which he suggests that and war doesn't necessarily mean formal death, life and death struggles. I mean, in the streets, in the sense of you understand what I'm talking. Battle, metaphorical battle, cultural battles, not necessarily hand-to-hand combat or weapons, other than one's mind and intellect. But he talks about the 4 prior wars in American history, if you will. The Jacksonian Revolution of the 1830s, where the country was nearly ripped apart over the monopolist power of the East Coast founders to reflect the new realities of the expanding frontier in the country, and Jackson, a populist, and so you want to make a comparison to Trump, the populism of Jackson and the populism of Trump. 3 decades later, of course, slavery, which was obviously a formal war we fought. The Great Depression and the establishment's inept responses to it left a quarter of the country unemployed for nearly a decade, and so this led to the expansion of government. Still afflicted by many of those big government schemes that were advanced during the New Deal and FDR. And then in the 1960s, of course, the counter-revolution fueled by anti-Vietnam activism, civil rights protests, environmental activism, and so forth. So it's certainly a mixed bag in terms of the cultural advance of America during these 4 other clashes of civilization, if you will, the abolishing slavery, advancing civil rights for all Americans, good things, big government gambits, arguably bad things, I certainly would argue. Here's how Victor Davis Hanson describes the 5th American War, a revolutionary divide that we are upon. The consequences of globalization, the growth of the deep state, changing demographics, open borders, the rise of a geographic apartheid between blue and red states, and the institutionalization of a permanent coastal and political and cultural elite, and the reaction to all of that, are tearing us apart. And then he breaks that down. But it's interesting because what he's essentially suggesting is that a lot of the dynamics that were in play in isolation in each of those previous 4 revolutionary divides are all coming together and are all at play in some form or fashion with the revolutionary divide that we face today.
Those who think that Trump is anything more than a symptom of a larger problem in our republic are wrong. And I do respect Mr. Hanson. We're syndicated by the same group, and I really like his work. I would also offer a little bit another, we have mentioned it earlier today, in the American Conservative, a piece by Robert W. Mary. Like Rome, America could be ripe for tyranny, the dangers that confront late-stage democracy. And in this, like Hanson, he talks not about Trump as Hitler, which is a cheap construction, but talks about, as you have many times on your show in various forms, the destruction or the fall of institutions and the corrosive nature of our politics as it affects those institutions and seeping out onto the American people about what constitutes Americanism, what is it about being an American that we lose that cultural thread? And as we do, as the ancient Romans did, then it's easy.
So the big question is, do you think we're there?
Then it's easy for Sulla to march his legions into Rome. Then it's easy for the next one. I'm not worried about Trump. I'm worried about the ones down the road.
I'm not worried about Trump other than as a symptom as well. But but the question is, as these civic institutions are disintegrating, Neil Ferguson, by the way, wrote a great book called The Great Degeneration, where he talks about this topic and explores it in some detail. But as those civic institutions are crumbling, as you suggest, and as those in charge of those institutions have lost legitimacy, and that was part of the expression of the populace in supporting Trump's presidential candidate, are we right here in this at this revolutionary divide that Victor Davis Hanson has described? Do you think it's here?
No, I don't.
Why not?
I don't think it's here yet. I don't. I think that you can bring up deep state. We could discuss it many different ways. I much prefer listening to you talk about it than listening to some screamer on cable TV talking about deep state.
No. I'm not even talking about.
But we're in a very troubling time, probably the most dangerous time that we've been in a long period of time, because the American people are, as you've referenced, in terms of the healthcare vote and others, there is a huge disconnect between what the American people want, what the elites are doing to them, and this is only going to boil and boil as our institutions continue to crumble. What we're seeing is a collapse of the middle, and something that I've advocated for quite some time, because I in the sense that the establishment to me has always been the Cellinis, the Hasterts, and so forth, and you can write them large. But there is a cost to that.
So if we're not there yet, what are the last couple of columns to fall, or maybe just even a singular column? What's the last bulwark against really being upon this revolutionary divide in your mind? How will we know when we're there?
That's the point that Mary makes, which is why I recommend this most highly in the American Conservative, because the Romans did not know.
Right.
As the institutions collapsed, as you can tell from your history, they did not realize that it was over. Even it was gone, and they didn't have the means to even think of it or discuss it publicly because they didn't have the vocabulary to embrace it. But it was already gone.
That's Aetolian fever. The time to treat is when you don't know you have it. By the time you know you have it, you're dead.
Right.
That's where you think we're at.
I think that we're getting closer to that.
Sean in Elmwood Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
All right. I'm not a Kennedy apologist by any means, and I thought he was an outright scumbag. Absolutely no question about it.
Judith Exner didn't.
That's the definition of not being a Kennedy apologist, calling a scumbag.
However, economically, he was against the Federal Reserve. He was against the fiat currency. He also was vehemently anti-war, which is why he let thousands of Cubans die in the Bay of Pigs. Donald Trump is the unholy hybrid of Herbert Hoover and Richard Nixon, and his presidency will result in a combination of their failures. There is no question about it. You could see it in virtually every argument. All he ever really wants is more bureaucracy, more control, and more credit, which is something that's really important.
Well, that certainly runs counter to the Bannon imperative to defang the administrative state. But okay, your second point.
Well, Bannon is nothing but a propagandist who believes.
So those cabinet secretaries and what they're actually doing with respect to the regulatory state, that's not happening. That's fiction.
Those are parchment. You've already discussed this, and you know this. You know this above everybody. These are temporary. They're done through. There's no change in the actual structure of the law, which is the beauty of government.
Yeah. Okay. What's your second? We'll discuss it. What's your second point?
The other thing is he loves the structure of government because it's within that failure that the power grows and that the government omnipotence grows, and that's the play. Everything else is a ruse. You're aware we're spending record levels at the same time they are seizing record amounts of money. Nothing is changing, Dan.
Yeah, and you thanks for the call, Sean. And you were also an opponent of the Obamacare place that was advanced in the House and a version of it proposed in the Senate, which sought to at least start reining it back in, because the idea that you're going to have some kind of transformative legislation, transformative thinking and re-engineering of government, particularly in entitlements, with Trump or even these Republicans that are in charge of the House and the Senate, that's folly. So, you have to, I guess, put both feet on the ground and understand what you have and work to change it and improve it. The idea that this all resides on Trump's doorstep is just silly to me. He strikes me as much less about a secret plan to consolidate power and grow the state and be a benevolent dictator, as some suggest, including Sean, and much more just a populist who goes wherever popularity is. And since it's been forestalled on the left, there's no opportunity there.
Exactly.
It's on the right.
Exactly, and the downside of all of it, obviously, is greater than just the president himself, but the effect of that kind of swing back and forth on the public and on the republic, and that's what the danger is. And the danger is every day I hear populism becoming even more important and more. 51% of the people want this. Well, it has nothing to do with liberty. It has nothing to do with restraint of passion, and that's the danger.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Message and data rates may apply. Please don't text while driving.
Did you know your organization's logo can do far more than you think?
Your logo carried my clothes to the gym.
Your logo kept my coffee warm all morning. Your logo charged my phone last night.
When the highly trained team at 4imprint put your logo on things people actually use, you'll be amazed at how powerful your logo can be. Not only will we unleash the full power of your logo, we'll show you the top 3 promotional items for driving new customers absolutely free. Text TEAM to 642-642 now. Every time your customers enjoy one of our promotional items with your logo, they'll think of you. Plus, with free art assistance, we'll make every item look fantastic for a great price. Satisfaction guaranteed.
Your logo keeps my laptop safe.
Your logo keeps me dry.
Attract new customers, reward employees, and make a lasting impression. Discover the top 3 promotional items for free. Text TEAM to 642-642. That's TEAM to 642-642.
Amby Davis's Bowling Balls tweet, 20th century President Trump reminds me of Cy Sperling, President Hair Club for Men. Oh, Amby Davis's Bowling Ball. How would you like to have insurance for your computer network, something to protect your hardware and software, and more importantly, give you peace of mind? Using Turnkey IT for installation and support of your systems is like having insurance for your computer network. For one affordable monthly payment, your company gets a full team of certified technicians who are there for you, working in the background to ensure your systems are up and running. They'll help you over the phone and make house calls to your workplace. And Turnkey IT doesn't wait until there's an emergency call because they work hard to take preventative measures, keeping networks secure, backed up, and running nonstop. Turnkey IT can protect your network with the turnkey experience where everything is included. Office hosting, advanced network protection, cloud backup, disaster recovery, and unlimited remote and on-site support. Find out what Turnkey IT can do for your company today. It's easy. Visit turnkey.pro today. That's turnkey.pro.
Yes, indeed, summertime. Another hot one. Wait, gonna be a little bit cooler today. Back to hot, gonna be windy. Maybe a thunderstorm mixed in for good measure. Up and down and up and down. The climate is always changing. Your company's heating and cooling system really gets a workout in Chicagoland. Be ready for anything this summer. Call Air Comfort and get your business's cooling system tuned up and running at peak performance. You see, the Air Comfort problem solvers can find small problems before they become big problems. Plus, proper maintenance will keep your system from wasting energy and money. Air Comfort will make sure your equipment is clean and obstacle-free. And if your chiller is about to or has stopped working, they can install temporary solutions to keep you cool while the long-term fixes are put in place. The key to keep your climate from changing is preventative maintenance, and Air Comfort can help. Schedule a comprehensive assessment of your mechanical system today. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1900. 1935.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Dave Geiselhart, president and owner of Home Trust Mortgage and customer of Signature Bank. When the large banks turned away from the mortgage lending industry during the financial crisis, I turned to locally owned Signature Bank. Signature Bank stepped in and helped me expand our business at a time when the larger banks wouldn't. Today, I'm proud to say Home Trust Mortgage has been able to expand our business in Illinois and the Great Lakes region. We couldn't have done that without the help of Signature Bank. Signature Bank truly helps Chicago businesses like mine grow and thrive. That's why we also became personal customers and shareholders of Signature Bank, Chicago's business bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hello, this is financial advisor Dale Bradley speaking to you from the Bradley Investment Center in Evanston. Have you ever made an investment through one of those large national brokerage firms? Have you ever felt like just a number? Well, at Bradley Investment Center, our goal is not to be the largest practice. It's simply to be the best by establishing and keeping true personal relationships. Visit us at BradleyInvestmentCenter.com. That's BradleyInvestmentCenter.com. Or better yet, stop by and say hello. We are at the corner of Central and Central Park in beautiful Northwest Evanston. We strive to be the center of all your family's investment needs. For more information, call the Bradley Investment Center at 855-940-8700. That's 855-940-8700.
Bradley Investment Center. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc. Bradley Investment Center is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services.
It's news, opinion, insight. It's AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago.